and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Sorted through papers here, and I've lost my agenda. It's in here somewhere. It's Monday. There it is. I knew I had it. It's got buried.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda as printed.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approve the minutes from 6:26.
Move to approve the minutes from the meeting of 6/26/17.
Second.
Second by Dave, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is anyone here from the public would wish to address us? Alrighty, if not, Scott, come up. Insurance renewal.
Yes, thank you. I got, pass these around. Good morning, and thanks for having me in. I just wanted to go over with the board, passed out a summary of the county insurance for the upcoming year, July 1st to July 1st. And so I just wanted to go through the recap, overview with you, and entertain any questions that you might have at the end. So flipping through page by page, the first page is our property summary. It's on a blanket basis, which just means all of our building structures and contents are put together on a schedule, but then they're treated as one large blanket dollar value. So the dollar value is at our disposal for any one loss that we may have, and our policy is on a replacement cost basis. So our blanket value that we have listed there is $16,416,414, and that is something that we review every year. ICAP gives us some replacement cost indications on certain buildings and schedules that we try to stick with and adhere to. And so we did increase, to help keep up with inflationary costs, that value to meet what their recommendations and their schedules show. Our deductible is $1,000 on that, and we are on a special cause of loss, which is basically meaning that's the broadest cause of loss form that's available. How the wording in general of that means is that losses will be covered to property unless they are on an exclusion list, versus trying to have a specific point list of it has to be fire, it has to be windstorm, it has to be this. So it works more on, and they look towards more of what's excluded rather than what has to happen in order for it to be covered. This does down below, you see some notes there that we do have the equipment breakdown, boiler and equipment breakdown coverage included, and as well as water and sewer backup coverage of an additional $25,000 on that schedule there. Flipping over to the next page is our crime policy. That is our employee dishonesty. We have a $200,000 employee dishonesty policy with a $1,000 deductible, and then $10,000 for money and securities, and that's on and off premises, so that's just any cash that may happen. Somebody steps into the treasurer's office, decides that they want to demand money, or while it's the off premises would be while it's being delivered to the bank for a deposit. We do have a separate bond. This is an employee dishonesty bond, so things that may happen employee-wise, we do have separate bonds for our elected officials in each department as well, outside of this package here.
We have a higher bond for the treasurer, those that handle a lot of money.
Right, there's a separate bond that has it's not higher than the $200,000 that's there, but yeah, it's what's mandated there. Each department, assessors, treasurers, they all have that specific amount that's specified for them. The general liability, this is where we're currently on a $2 million occurrence. Our general aggregate, which just means that's our policy from July to July, maximum of $2 million. We do have an umbrella, which you'll see later, that goes over the top of this and does add additional coverage. But this is our base policy where claims would start on a liability situation. So we have a $2 million each occurrence, and that includes any kind of personal advertising, injury, products completed operations, as well as the general aggregate. And then we have a medical expense of $10,000, so the big difference between that is medical expenses is if something happens on our county premises where the county isn't necessarily negligent, the policy still has $10,000 available because the accident happened on our premises. And the idea there is, if somebody needs stitches or medical attention, this is available, maybe things just quiet down and go away from there versus escalating into lawsuits and things where then you have to defend whether or not the county's negligent.
So you have the $10,000, which in today's world isn't very much,
Right.
to hopefully alleviate that becoming into the liability portion of the
Right.
insurance.
Because that's what, generally when a claim is presented, the first thing that the insurance company's gonna do is investigate to see if there appears to be any negligence on the county's behalf. If there isn't, that they feel there isn't, then they would at least offer the medical payments and say there's, no liability from that point, but if lawsuit still revolves out of that, then, we would have defense and then higher limits available. So,
Right.
Yep. And then you'll see some of the other, additional employee benefits, employment practices liability, so that's where you're gonna get into things like discrimination, harassments, wrongful terminations, those kind of things. There, public officials liability, that's of course our board decisions, and then law enforcement liability as well. And you'll see that those have retro dates, and this is what they call a claims made, so a retro date just keeps moving forward with this policy, meaning that if a prior claim that has happened during our tenure with ICAP happens, is presented with this policy, but then next renewal, we decide that we want to go to a different carrier, they have the right to say, we're no longer on that claim. So it's kind of take the claims with you, so to speak, on that. Flipping over to business auto page, we have a $2 million liability. Again, this is one that falls under our umbrella, but just any automobile claim will start with this underlying policy. We have $5,000 medical payments on this policy as well. And then uninsured motorists, coverage of $1 million. And our schedule for vehicles that have full coverage, there's a $250 comprehensive deductible and a $500 collision deductible. And our policy does include hired and non-owned auto, you see down at the bottom, and that's where that's important, is if anybody is driving their own vehicle, maybe down to Des Moines for meetings or something like that, it's not a county-owned vehicle, the county doesn't have to ask before they leave, hey, did you pay your premium, or have to be concerned at what level of coverage they have on their own policy. So if that person gets in an accident on the way down, has some injuries to other people, and that policy isn't in force, or doesn't have enough coverage, and questions start getting asked, and they find out that you're on official county business, they want to bring the county in, then this is the endorsement we need to have the county protected.
Typically though, if the person driving their personal vehicle has adequate in-force insurance, it's gonna go back to their auto.
It's their policy.
This is to cover if they didn't.
Right. So, yeah, this is kind of a peace of mind for you guys, because yes, when they're driving their own car, their policy is primary. So they have that accident, their policy's primary, it just is a situation where maybe there's a fatality or something like that. Maybe their policy is $100,000, which is more than the state requires, but isn't gonna be enough in this situation.
So it's either to cover any shortcomings of the
Yes.
personal policy.
Right. Either because they forgot to pay their premium, or they just don't simply have enough coverage. So then this protects the county. Yep, that starts,
If it goes
goes beyond that, yep.
Agreed.
Gets
Okay.
to that. Yep. Okay. Equipment floater, this is where we have all of our secondary road, a lot of our secondary road equipment, lawnmower types equipment, it's just our mobile equipment, but also covers some other things, we have some computer hardware coverages and things of that nature. So any newly purchased property, they give us a kind of a 30% of scheduled limit if a piece of equipment is purchased but doesn't get added to the schedule right away. There is some leeway there that they give us some limits, but until a time frame runs out, either at the end of the policy or I think a 30-day period or whatever, then we'd need to have it on the schedule, but we do have a little bit of grace period there. And then you see some computer coverages. Our equipment schedule is currently sitting at $3,413,000 for, you know, motor graders and backhoes and things of that nature that would fall under this schedule here. And this schedule and the auto schedules and things, we'll get the details to Paul, and ID cards and details to Peggy for distribution and things like that, so they can scrutinize the schedules to make sure that things look adequate to what they're...
Scott, how often do you go through the equipment list?
Yeah, that's something we would give Paul on an annual basis for him to review.
Because, you know, equipment does change, you know, make sure the valuation is correct
Mm-hmm.
on everything from, you know, a lawnmower to a road grader,
Yep.
to the pickups to the truck. So you,
Right.
is that being kept up on, and it's...
Yeah, that's something that we do on an annual basis, and last year we went through, there was a few trailers, homemade trailers that we found that weren't necessarily here or there, couldn't find them anymore, but otherwise, vehicle list checked out. We've worked with Paul on making sure that the equipment list is kept up
Okay,
on an annual
excellent.
basis, yep. And it shows the deductible there, of $1,000, and again, has the special causes of loss for this schedule on this. Workers' compensation is our, next page. We have employer's liability of $1 million, for each accident, for each employee by disease, policy limit by disease. That is just really in rare circumstances where there happens to be a lawsuit that's able to be presented against the county. The state of Iowa statutorily pretty much allows the employee, that's their sole remedy, but there's some very rare circumstances where lawsuits may be allowed as far as gross negligence situations and things of that nature. Otherwise, an employee's injury medically and lost time, there is no limit. So this $1 million doesn't apply to somebody that's severely hurt and is going to be off work for a long time, needs a lot of medical attention.
What kind of bond did we come up with?
Yeah, that's actually noted, .74 under our premium adjustments, so that is actually down, and you'll see that on the very last page too. That's down from prior year about 10 points. It was .84 down to .74. So this is audited policy, just meaning that shortly hereafter, the county will get a request for updated payrolls, and we'll supply them with payrolls, and that policy will just get trued up accordingly. Because it's just estimated, we don't have to report our hirings and report our terminations. This policy just ebbs and flows with our or how we hire, and then it's just adjusted at the end of each term. Our umbrella policy here, we have currently a $4 million umbrella policy. And so that goes over the top of our other underlying policies. You'll note down below that we've given some additional options for increasing umbrella to 5, 6, 7, and beyond. If the board is interested in going beyond the $4 million, you can see the additional costs for adding different layers on that.
How long has it been at $4 million?
It's been at $4 million for a couple of...
All 3 years with ICAP.
Yeah, the last 3 years at least, for sure, yeah.
It's probably at a total of $5 million, I think, prior to that.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
that-
it's $2 million written into the policy plus it for $1 million umbrella, $6.
Correct. For 6 for the most part right now is what you have.
The umbrella goes over the auto, general
Everything, isn't
liability,
it?
work comp,
Mm-hmm.
all the basic liability issues that are...
Yep.
So if we were to change that, basically all it'd take is just contact you guys, and that's the difference in the premium for...
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you could add an additional $1 million or $2 million if you felt comfortable or wanting to do that, so.
Right.
Mhm. And then the last page is just our comparison summary recap. For the most part, everything is very much in line, policy by policy from the prior year. Equipment floater, we did have an increase. You'll see some of the notes down below, just with the equipment purchases that were made over the course of the year or evaluations. There was $600,000 roughly of additional equipment. So that is the main driver there, as well as our property section. There was roughly $2.6 million of additional property coverage. That's the main driver for that policy difference from the prior year. But in total, primarily driven by our success in work comp area, our premiums are considerably less than the prior year, at $149, $113, down from $170 from the prior year. And so yeah, our workers' compensation, we've had some good success. So keep encouraging that with your department heads. Safety certainly helps bring down costs. Any questions, other questions I can entertain to try to answer for you? Otherwise, we'll work on getting schedules with and ID cards out here and spreadsheet for billing. Yeah, and I don't know if you've gotten the workers' compensation billing yet.
Yeah, I came, but I
Okay.
knew that you guys would.
Yeah, if I can get a copy of that, then we'll work on, because they don't send us the direct billing part, so.
Peggy, did you guys get that voucher, that voucher?
Oh, yeah, good point, thank you, Larry.
Trying to remember if we did that or not.
I think it was sent down to Melody.
Oh, okay, well then maybe she'll...
We'll have to work, yeah.
You get that, because that
Yeah.
applies to your bottom line.
Yeah, I knew that, so I've been kind of watching for it, but I...
What was it, Scott?
Yeah, it's actually another good news situation is ICAP over the past several years has given back a membership voucher, which is a credit basically towards your premiums. And last year we received around $800 and some odd dollars. Well, it doubled. This year and it all depends on the success of the program. Fewer losses that there are, they're able to the following year distribute a bigger voucher. And so our voucher this year is $1,719.10. Yeah, so we've basically doubled what we got last year, and that's just basically a credit that can come off of our premium that gets subtracted off of what is
Peggy,
presented
is it
here.
okay if we just kind of prorate that through all the departments based on the amount of premium that they pay of the total? Because I don't know that we have any way to figure out where that came from.
Yeah,
other than
which,
overall.
whether this all applies to general fund, or whether it applies to secondary roads.
A lot of the workman's comp claims are secondary roads.
Well, and that's reflected in their premium
Yeah,
and
but you
stuff.
already have that figured out on the
This is
percentage wise.
basically
Right.
coming from the ICAP people. so
Yeah, and this is
that's
ICAP.
across the whole area.
This is non-work comp anyway here, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Probably should be.
Yeah. This is basically property, liability, vehicle driven.
Split it amongst everybody based on their share of the
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, whatever portion of premium they
And
pay.
will you get ahold of Melody then, and,
We'll see if she got that, 'cause it was directed to her,
all right,
the letter was anyway.
okay.
And that's something, whether, and the reason it was directed to her is, as the emergency management director, she's listed as the primary contact for this, and Peggy's the
Yeah.
alternate contact, so then they kind of send correspondence to her like that, so.
Yep.
Eric, you have
Speaking
a
of
question?
credits, so, just a brief explanation, work comp, good experience credit.
Yes. So that basically is going hand in hand with why you see the mod factor going from .84 to .74. That's just a formula. The mod factor is simply a formula that looks at claims over a rolling 5-year period, and as claims have been decreasing, or severity and frequency of claims have been decreasing, your mod factor is going to decrease as well. And so then, at a certain point, IMWCA feels like, okay, hey, we've had good experience, here's an additional credit you've earned because you've had good experience and safety-wise, and if they come in and do loss control, you're cooperating with loss control recommendations and all of these things that they might send out, that's why you're earning that.
Criteria, that if you meet that, along with a good safety record and not too many claims,
Yes, then that's something that
Well, that's
you've earned along the way.
Nice to have that.
Right.
This is the first year that they've given us that.
Yeah, this is the first year it's come on for us.
Kinda like a good driving record on your auto insurance.
Sure.
They might lower your premium over time if it's, hey, you know,
Right.
you can qualify for this because you've got a good driving record.
Yes. And so, conversely, if things turn the other direction,
It's gonna go that way.
it can go, the other way in a hurry too, because your mod factor can start going closer to 1.
And you can lose
And
the other
you
credit.
can lose some of the other credits, for a good experience and things. So, I mean, just as quickly as it,
Get over one, it really costs you.
oh, yeah.
You have a couple nasty claims if you go.
It's, yeah, then you're
Yeah.
losing your
Right.
good
That's why
driving.
safety meetings are important.
Well, safety is important,
Yes.
and less claims is important.
Yeah.
It's nice to get rewarded for it.
Yeah, and so you can see it pays for itself. The time that you're spending in those certainly pays for itself.
Oh, and it's nice to get the credit for it.
Yes.
Good job, Scott.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Very-
thank
Yeah,
you.
very good.
We just have a few things for Rick to
Sign.
sign here. This is our, just acknowledgement that we were here today, talk to you guys about that. This is that proxy statement that basically keeps Melody as the primary and Peggy as the secondary contact. And this is just our commitment to continue membership within the policy program.
You need more of those, Peggy?
No, it's fine, I just wanted to show Rick had it.
And I can leave a copy of mine too, if you need another copy. Okay.
Looks like you lost your job.
I'm just an
All right.
office guy.
Thank you.
You could've sat in the back and heckled him on asking tougher questions.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, being as we have Scott talk to us about it, if any of the board feels this is not enough coverage, bring it up next meeting.
Mhm. Okay,
Thank
thank
We need to
you.
adjust that, I imagine, it's being the agenda item.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Okay. Looks like we're going down into drainage.
Mr. Chairman,
Second.
move we go to drainage.
Okay.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are in drainage. Motion carries. Full house today.
You can bring some of those chairs in from out there.
I'll pull over that way. Pull it over. Yep. Well, hey. Thank you. Appreciate it. Got most of them.
Sporting that newer
We're
softball
He's a
shirt.
little cleaner shaven than he usually is.
Yeah.
Got that new softball shirt
Softball
on.
shirt too, yeah. I'm a holding man today.
Hey, well, yeah, it looked good. Looked good.
Yeah.
You gonna be there, Carl? Wales game last time.
It took a long time to get those results done, those are,
Oh, yeah.
somebody finally posted on Facebook that they'd won.
Well, now you're back, I guess you can physically go to the game.
There you go.
Out here. Welcome.
I got that
Really,
mail.
to represent.
Me,
You get ready.
sorry.
No, I'm not there.
Wait.
No, we prefer you personally, but
Hello.
I don't know, Rick. Well, let's go through your, see what's up there.
Is there more chairs in your area? mean,
Yes, I think that is everything we have.
you turn your fan on, or you turn your, on?
I didn't need any extra God, though, right? Just too much.
It's not really nothing, but I'm there shaking, looks good. Went down, that's good.
Right.
May more than me.
I think there's one more out there, Mike.
Another one out.
Bill's over there, he can come around.
Right out the other door.
You wanna run the papers here?
Well, this is most of it.
Did you guys get the information that Amy very briefly?
Email?
Oh, no, no, no.
No.
I think it's all wrapped up.
I don't think so.
I read it. Information on 33. She emailed
Are
it.
you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. We are in drainage, and we're moving on to, D number 33, lateral D, approved change order number 2 and 3. Now, from what we got here from, Holland, we have a change order for amount of, what's that, $49,949.68. I think originally it was like 52,000, but I think that was due to the fact that the other portion is that, is part of number 3. Is that right? Do I have that correct?
Okay, but, Idell just agreed to pay the $10,023.15 on the change order 1 and 2
Okay.
for the additional tile laying that was
Yeah.
replaced. However, they will not cover anything because of the difference in elevation.
Yeah. So under his recommendation, he's thinking we shouldn't pay this bill as currently. Is that your understanding? Eric, you've been involved in this?
I know, this is still way more confusing than I'd like it. I don't, we all got a letter from Mike Borland, with Idell's, kind of spelling this out, but I'm still not very comfortable with the payment situation on this. It may be fine, all in all, but it's, as the old saying goes, it's about as clear as mud right now, and I can tell by everyone kind of looking glassy-eyed, and myself included, that I don't want to pay anything without knowing exactly, we know what we're paying for, but we don't want to pay any 1 cent more than that the county owes, the drainage district owes, and make sure that the ISG group holds up their end of this bargain, so to speak.
Well, wasn't that the first part of the email, was ISG wanted us to pay so that then it was done through the drainage? Wasn't that the first that
Right.
Ivan sent us?
Yep.
That was the first correspondence, and then
Yes.
from, what's his name down there?
McFarland?
Like, no,
Dave.
this attorney, Doug, what was his response to?
I don't know, Trish, did you ever get
Thank you.
anything, the one Doug was not available, or was gone, did he get a chance to look at this, and did he really send anything? We haven't seen any correspondence from our drainage attorney.
He's out for vacation with
Right.
his family.
He knows that you sent him the information, but we really don't have a qualified response from the drainage attorney.
Definite direction from.
No, we don't. We got a little bit from Mike Borland, and so, I mean, it's good to get all this information. Plus, we don't really have we've got a lot of emails. I'd suggest that we get this in a better chronological order.
Before we proceed with it.
Yes.
All right, maybe let's look for a motion to table these two items until we get better.
I would-
Doug look at it, give us
We
the
need,
direction as
have
to
too
what...
many loose ends right now to make any hard and fast motions, decisions, payments on this project. Maybe it's, hey, not saying it's not fine, but I wanna make sure we're all...
You wanna make sure it's
that it
fine.
is fine.
I'll make that motion that we table it until we talk with Doug and get Mike and get all of everybody to agree to it.
I'll second.
Got a second by Dave, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
Now we're done with drainage?
No.
Not quite.
No. So I would, in reference to that motion and Dave,
That's
that
right, Trish.
there's a lot of information floating out there. I'd like to, we hate to keep putting more on Trish, but we need to hear back from Doug, and we need to get this, instead of 8 different emails floating around that we've all read, we need to get that concise down into kind of
Yeah.
one-page bullet points. This is the procedure that we need to follow. And Mike Borland did send some good information. We just need to get Doug's feedback in this and get it all put together so we all understand it.
Yeah. All righty, let's move down to DD six, main tile branch B, approve it, pay estimate number 1 from Nels Peterson. You have that for us?
They're currently doing the branch B.
That's on the northwest
Yeah.
North.
of Thor?
Yeah.
Yes.
The tile line, it's sitting straight north along the road. What is,
Everything's good?
what is that pay estimate?
107, 631, 23.
Yeah, one.
Didn't you, Rick, weren't you out there
Yeah.
not too long ago? I know you made mention here.
Been out there and they're moving along the road and,
And, Jacobs and Westergaard has got a drone now. They took video and sent it to me if you want to see it.
Oh, nice.
Of the branch installation. It's pretty cool.
yeah,
You're-
they've been embedding it in rock and wrapping the joints and
Looks beautiful.
Your last comment was it looked good. Trish, you looked at the video, everything?
I noticed it went down the tile and red marked a few that it had chips, so they weren't using them. So they're examining the tile before they put them in, so
Excellent.
everything looked like it was running pretty good out there.
I move we approve pay estimate number 1 to Nels Peterson Construction for 107,631.23.
I'll
First,
second.
second by Bruce, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, let's move down to DD 11 sub 5, informal meeting.
Early on time.
I think we are, 'cause it's 9 o'clock. We're a little after 9, so we're good.
Mhm.
Right? Unless that clock is off.
I got 904.
All right. Okay, this is an informal meeting. I know there was some discussion about, it started off as a tile improvement where they're running a new main along the existing main. Come up with different options. I happened to be gone at that meeting. Bruce was in charge of that one.
So you're gonna land it on me?
So I'm gonna lean on you a little bit.
We okayed everything under your guidance.
I'm sure you did. So, where is it standing right now? I know someone's been looking into a private line. And,
Carmen petitioned for an alternative drainage situation to the initial, one that was petitioned. And with that, I believe Bill Mansky, through a plan for that.
If I can speak to that, Trish.
Yes.
Sure.
At the time I did the petition, I thought we could go possibly straight east with my total lack of surveying and drainage knowledge. Basically, I think both Bill Mansky, who is here, and Rick Hopper looked at that, and my understanding is that the surveying doesn't support that, there's not enough drop. But Bill has looked at another option, which I don't know if you want him to speak to that here. He's obviously much more expert than I am.
I don't know anything.
Don't know anything. Hear nothing, know nothing, see nothing. That's, we're looking at it, I guess, as a potentially private project. There's, at least scheduled a meeting at Dave Hundemark's business for any owners that potentially are affected by this to ask more questions. I don't know if Bill wants to sort of present this other option that is geared to giving relief in a smaller project.
I don't know anything.
Where are all my conversations at?
First of all, I am not an engineer, I want that made perfectly clear, and I'm not knocking down anything Rick Hopper's done. I just want that made, Rick Hopper is a good engineer, and I just looked at another option that I think absolutely fits the cards for everybody, and I put a private project together. And I think it's a great option for the district because it breaks up the watershed in half. You can see on my map clearly that it benefits the people that need it the most, and the cost is substantially less, and it may not be an apples-to-apples comparison to Hopper, but I think it's gonna be a much better alternative for everybody cost-wise and still give them the benefits that they need. The issues that we have that I'm concerned about, and there's many, but the two that I'm concerned about is going into a drainage facility that the outlet doesn't already outlet there too. So Rick Hopper expressed that that wouldn't be a problem, but there's gonna have to be some type of annexation to go into the wing ditch. And then I'm also concerned about, Marlis Larson has to give us permission to go across their land to go into that outlet. And then Don Fultonson, who's a customer of mine, and I need to see an engineer's report that we're not gonna impact that ditch negatively. I need to have his peace of mind, that's very important to me. And then, once we can facilitate the tile to that ditch, I think it'll work wonderful. I've shot all the elevations in. It gets us water into the ditch quicker to the main ditch. It's a much better proposal than spending the kind of money that they were projected to spend to take all the water in the watershed. It kind of breaks everything up in half. And my goal is to leave the north end alone and let it do what it wants to do, and then take all the south water and kind of split it up in half. And it honestly, it's an excellent project. I don't know why it was never looked at before, but the cost savings is substantial. Like, some of the people's assessments are gonna be cut in half, and even some more, so the ditch is my concern, because we have to basically break watershed, to what the district is. We've gotta come up with a mutual tile agreement. I've already suggested to the landowners that we do this mutually and not through the drainage district to turn it over. I don't think it's necessary to, and I think it complicates things, but I think we can draw a very good mutual tile agreement that would be solid and everybody would be satisfied with. And then, as far as the road crossings go, that's another concern I have, which I always do, and I would like to see the Board of Supervisors help with the road crossings, because we're gonna save you guys a ton of money rather than go the other way. Their estimate, Rick Hopper's estimate was $32,000. I would like to see you guys participate and help these people out, not at what the current county policy is. I think we should extend that out to these landowners, being that this is gonna be a tremendous cost savings to the secondary road spot. And so my drainage ditch, we gotta have Marlis's blessing to go across her property. I think we can get that, but I haven't confirmed that. And, to be able to facilitate our tile into that wing ditch is very important, because what's gonna happen, in my view, is somehow we have to get that done before the ditch is cleaned out, because if you have the ditch cleaned out, and then those people are annexed into that and don't pay for any of the clean out today, how is that fair to the people that are on the upper end to have to pay for that now? So I would like to see these people would be more than happy to be part of that in the future and today to pay for that assessment, whatever that would be, to clean that ditch out today. Because the ditch does need to be cleaned out. And I don't think it's fair for the three people on the upper end to just clean the wing for them and then get off scot-free without having to participate in that today and long-term. And another thing is, I told them, you know, and I haven't exactly expressed this, but they'll understand that if they go into that ditch, they're still gonna be in the drainage district that they're in, and they're still gonna have to pay the assessments as already set by law, and they'll have actually a double assessment on another ditch that they'll have to clean out and maintain down the road. And that's typical of what happens in voluntary annexation. I'm not here trying to say I know everything, but this project's one of the best projects that I've ever seen to be able to put together to save people a tremendous amount of grief and money and give everybody what they need in the end. And I think that's the ultimate goal that everybody has here.
Well, I mean, it's, as trustees of the drainage district, I mean, we're all in favor of that, saving people money.
Absolutely. This is,
And
wonderful,
whatever works
most
best.
people I've ever seen for an informal meeting. It's fantastic. So, this is the informal meeting here, so as a general population that's here, you haven't had your other kind of informal meeting,
Scheduled to follow
so...
this meeting.
I mean, this, I don't wanna put the cart before the horse type thing, but, and I don't wanna get into a lengthy discussion, but generally, everyone probably has a tidbit of information, some more than others, about this proposed project. Does the agreement seem to be consensual toward moving forward with this?
Derek, as long as I do the whole thing for nothing, it's a go.
Well, I'm sure everyone has told you that, and that they said fine. But, I mean, I'm asking the parties involved.
Okay, and I guess I'll kind of bring up, last night's email's wonderful, sent Trish a request to continue the final hearing, which is currently scheduled for the 24th, to, I guess, let everybody participate in the meeting at Dave Hundemark's business, to ask any questions, have time. I would like to see that final hearing, formal meeting pushed off, 3 months, so that everybody who's not seen this, not understood what's going on in either proposal, has plenty of time to look at it and, ask questions, talk to their family members, because I know a lot of the ownership is families, trust, and other kinds of things. And then, reconvene, or have the formal meeting, or maybe we reach this private agreement and are able to go ahead with the project with Bill Maskey.
I'm Gary Peterson, I'm the one that originally filed the first petition. I think I'm all for backing it up. I think 3 months is pushing it. I'd like to maybe add 30 days onto it. I'd be okay with that, As far as Bill's plan, we need to see numbers. We've heard save up to $600,000, but we haven't seen numbers.
You will today.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yep, you will.
I figured that. So, we're all kind of in the dark. We have an idea what he's talking about, but we don't know. Until you see numbers, you can't, it's like buying a pickup,
Right.
Until you see the numbers.
Exactly.
And we have some questions, on, different things, but we'll address that later
Sure.
on.
Sure.
But, I'm all for backing it up a little bit, 'cause we can't put this together in two weeks.
No.
And we're all, I need drainage, I'll be honest, I need drainage. I got 120 acres there that basically we can't plant. We have it in CRP right now, which is doggone good, but who knows what that's gonna do.
Yep.
Rick, what if we left it on for 2 weeks and then pushed it back then? Can you do it that way? After they've had their meeting? And see where they end up?
Say that again.
I say, what if we left it on for 2 weeks? See how your meeting turns out, and then we can push it back in 2 weeks?
make the decision in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it'll give them 2 weeks to talk about whatever Bill's numbers
I
are.
think 2 weeks is enough time to
No,
talk about it.
no.
All right.
I'm saying, if you push it back 5 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever the number is, we don't really know what his numbers are, so how your meeting's gonna go. I'm just saying, leave it on the schedule for 2 weeks. Then in 2 weeks, you can tell us, we're gonna need a month, 2 months, or however, 'cause we just keep changing the date in our book, it doesn't make any difference to us.
Okay, well, and I guess to speak to that personally, this has come really rapidly. You got the preliminary report on June 5th. I read about it, but some people didn't receive it until it was mailed on the 22nd of June. A lot of us are not local residents, and, you know, to keep coming back is not feasible for a lot of people. This is the first time that I've seen face-to-face many of these people that are owners, and I know that they're not, you know, within 20 miles of the courthouse. I guess I'd like a little bit bigger window than that.
We just have to cross it off, so it's up to you guys. I have
We
to come
have
up
to keep
here.
coming back.
I understand that.
Send a message back to Trish and say... Yeah, you know, if you, because I'm hoping that the very nice amount of people in the group that's gathered here today is gonna continue this as a private discussion after this informal hearing.
I hope so too.
Then, yeah, like Dave and Bruce had mentioned, you can say, we feel comfortable of a formal hearing, such and such a date. And like Bruce said, it's just a matter of us
All we're doing is just
scheduling that date.
changing the date.
Yeah, for now, let's roll it back 30 days, and then, can we do that? Let's roll it back 30 days.
Roll it back 30 days, 'cause that won't affect, you know, if your meeting doesn't produce results, we can proceed the other way, and we still have plenty of time to get things rolling for next year.
Yeah, so let's roll it back 30 days, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, 30 days from the 2 weeks.
From the
Yeah,
2 weeks.
From the
So
2
we're
weeks.
talking 6 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically,
And that will be the formal meeting.
yeah.
Now, is that fair, because this, you're
What's
down.
the date?
We may not need a formal meeting if
May
we
not.
work out a Friday.
Exactly.
Yeah, what happens
if we get
this all figured out, do we even have to?
No, we'll
No.
just cancel it.
Right.
You'll
Yeah.
have to hold.
We'll have to have,
You'll
we'll have to hold a meeting and
and then-
just say we've come up with alternatives.
And the Secretary of Roads is gonna be fine with helping us on this project? if we
Well,
all
we'll
agree
have
on
to
it?
discuss that, I guess,
There will be.
yeah.
Is there anything else that, I mean, this is still in flux, of course, and informational and that.
Are we doing 30 days from the 24th or 30 days from
30
the
to the
17th?
24th.
So
There is-
the 21st of August.
21st of August.
I believe that's right, isn't it?
That's what I got.
21st of August on a Monday.
4. Yeah, that's what I got.
Is there anything that, outside of the road crossing, that as the drainage district, as the county, that this needs help with?
Hey, road crossings, it's-
Well, the thing we're gonna need help with is, we are going into a different facility, so we're gonna have an engineer review that and make sure that we're not gonna overload that ditch, which I don't think that's even gonna be an issue, but I can't make that call because that's a drainage district
In
facility.
the meantime, and for expediency, to keep things moving along, is that something that you would
Well,
request?
that's a good point, Eric, because what I'd be willing to do today, because there's no money to set forward that. After our meeting, we feel comfortable that I'd be more than happy to pay the expense of having an engineer, because it's gonna be hard to pull money together amongst people, to have the engineer pull the plug and say, hey, we're willing to do a voluntary annexation. Give us an estimated cost and what kind of, procedures do we have to go through to get into that ditch? And is it not gonna create a negative impact? Because I still have a customer of mine that I cannot sugarcoat for him, because I wanna see the engineer's report that we're not gonna overload that ditch and that it's gonna be fine for everybody in that watershed, you know, that's presently draining into that wing ditch. Because it wasn't designed for that drainage that we're pulling into that, but I don't think it's gonna be an issue, but I don't wanna say it isn't until I see the engineer's report.
That's my point. So, in the meantime, is that something that falls back to the drainage district as is, for us as the trustees, to hire said engineer to get what needs to be done, the engineering report on the drainage ditch?
Well,
I still think that's gonna be a private
because,
means.
yeah, 'cause they really shouldn't pay for some private tile. the private tile is dumping into it.
That's right.
But then, you know, this annexation, all the things that need to be worked out, all the details of this.
Yeah, I'm fine with Bill, if he wants to hire an engineer to get an engineer's report stating that it's not overloading the ditch.
But in the engineering report, you're talking about doing it amongst, in privately type,
Yeah, but we're still gonna have, I don't know what the procedure's gonna be as far as how that engineer's gonna determine what the assessed cost for each individual. Because I've depicted a watershed line, I've got roughly the acres, but he'll probably go up contours and get more exact what that's gonna be. So that when we go back to the ditch, for the future of the ditch, maintenance and repair, then those people are gonna have to be assessed whatever the clean out is. That's why I wanna get it done before the ditch is cleaned out, because I don't think it's fair to the individuals to pay that full cost, then have those people just come in there and dump into it, and we've
yeah,
already cleaned out.
that's not a good idea.
See, we've already cleaned out a few hundred feet of the ditch already,
Right.
that the state's gonna, I think, pay on the drainage well closing
Right.
for 100 marks.
That's why I'm saying, that needs to be done, the engineering report needs to be done. Who's gonna initiate the engineering?
Yeah, yeah, I can take care of that.
Bill's gonna take care of that.
I can take care of that.
And that's-
It's not gonna go through the drainage district as a bill, because it's a private project.
Okay.
So typically, through a voluntary annexation, the annexation of the acres that are brought in, the engineer looks at the plan, he says, I'm acceptable to that, the ditch will be fine, and then he'll figure out what the assessed cost is gonna be for future clean out on that, as because they're coming into a new facility, and they'll have to be part of that, but they'll also have to remain in the facility that they're already in.
Correct.
Because you can't change that, it is what it is.
Yep.
And the reclass has
To the
been
alternate.
done,
Oh, it is.
apparently, for all the watershed acres.
And
Yeah.
From what I understand.
So, and the good of the group would hire an engineering firm.
Yeah, that's right.
To get the correct, because it has to be.
Well, we gotta get Marlis's,
Okay,
we gotta get her blessing first, we gotta get Don Fultonson appeased,
okay.
and then when we get that taken care of, then we can go with that procedure, and then at least get everybody a cost assessment to see if that they're comfortable with everything I put together today. I'm afraid I'm gonna need the Army Corps of Engineers today, along with the Army with me, whatever.
Well, but-
It'll work out good, I mean, really.
Okay, so that kinda, I believe answers my question, so that's not something that anyone's requesting the drainage district to do,
No,
get an engineer.
No.
That will be taken care of.
that has to be taken through a private entity, because we're
Just
just
the
a
same,
private
because it's
drainage
towards that project, okay?
Now, let me get this straight here. This, new private tile will remain a private tile.
Yeah.
We assess according to the agreement they got to maintain it to the landowner.
That's what I would like to see done, but I'm gonna recommend that to the individuals as the easy way.
It is.
Rather than have a reclassification, a sub-district put in, and then you gotta get everybody to agree on it.
Yeah.
The mutual tile agreement's much more solid. The problem is,
Yeah.
who oversees it? And that's gonna be our challenge today, on who oversees the whole private project. But I think we've got a remedy for that. It's just a matter of working together as a team like we all should.
A problem I have with not eventually turning it over to the county is what happens 50 years from now.
True.
We can talk about that.
And
That's an issue I see.
yeah. And looking at it from a trustee, you're inheriting something that wasn't put into specs that the county usually goes by. So that's from looking at it from a trustee's position, where they'd probably prefer not to have it.
I think that's, like, well, the point on that is
It'd be better to keep it private.
if it's done as a private,
Leave it private.
leave it private.
We've done a lot of mutual tile agreements, and once you get through the whole process, it covers maintenance and repair and all those things, you have your percentages set.
Yeah.
It's pretty
That's all
solid.
recorded and just moves
It's all
on.
It's really just
Transfers.
on the private side versus on the drainage district side, it's really no different.
I mean, really, all you're doing is you guys are overseeing it. Now, who's gonna oversee it through the
Yeah.
private means?
Exactly.
The agreement will be solid as a rock, because everybody will have a chance to look at it, we'll be able to manipulate and make it better so that everybody's comfortable with the agreement. But private drainage agreements are done all the time,
Well, they have been for years.
all the time.
Are these recorded then?
Yes,
At the recorder's office?
yes. When the as-built plan gets done, and we've got all the tile connections submitted with the map, then the as-built gets recorded.
Some counties,
Do
that's
you
all
have
they
recent
have.
ones here?
What's that?
Do you have recent ones here?
I do not here in this county.
Some counties, they only have private, they don't even have district.
Right.
That should work.
Dave?
Right.
What day is your meeting? Have you said that yet?
Like in
We're going out there after this meeting.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes.
Well,
So do we need a motion to push the 24th back to the August 21st?
yeah, I think that's what we're looking for at the moment.
I'll make a motion to change DD 11 sub 5 from July 24th to August 21st. We don't have a time. Do you want me to just pick one?
Just grab a
6
time.
o'clock that night.
Hopefully we'll be
Right
ready by
around
then.
supper.
Yeah, okay.
No, I suppose 9:15, or what do you?
Yeah, so shoot for 9.
9?
9. There's nothing on there for now.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion for 9 o'clock on August 21st for the continuation of hearing on 11 sub 5. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now, if you don't get them together, then...
Thank you.
I don't know, Rick did put together a traffic drainage coefficient with RCP for the same project. It is more, but, this was to be done and up to the engineering specs with the bedding and proper, rock placement, it would add to it.
I've already got that in the estimate.
Is it for underneath and surrounding it?
Don't have to go underneath.
And that's,
As long as we put it in a trench bottom round groove and we cover it in rock.
and that's per, what, 80th?
No,
Is that
that's Plastic Pipe Association. They write all the laws for ADS and all the ESPM.
And really, if it's a private deal,
Then we can't
it's
require it anyway.
we can't make any requirements?
Right.
No,
Other than the road.
no, but I put in a lot of plastic, I'm not concerned about it. Rick's very against plastic, but I don't blame him because there's a lot of poor installs.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of installs, and I can give you lots of people that I've done work for, and I wanna run cameras up some of the stuff I've done, 'cause I know what it's gonna look like. And other stuff, he stays away from plastic because he has that fearful factor that it's gonna go down, and now he's gotta deal with all that. But there's nothing wrong with plastic if it's installed properly. And I've got bedding in here, I've got 500 ton of bedding rock in my estimate, for the placement of rock. And it doesn't need to go underneath the tile, it just needs to go over the tile when we have a certain amount of cut, according to Plastic Pipe Association. Yeah, just show them the picture, you can show them the picture of how we install a tile.
A spoon.
Yeah. Spoon up the spring line, pipe can't go anywhere, and then in deep cuts over 12 foot of cover, we cover it in rock or gravel or whatever it's gonna take to support the pipe.
And if I remember right, you're just fixing one now, Bill, somebody didn't install right.
Don't talk about that, 'cause that'll make everybody dig down.
It's not.
No, you can't put it in a flat bottom,
Bottom,
you just can't.
No, because then it switches.
Well, it's
That's
got
on
no
a picture
support
you
for
and
the
the
hooks
paintings.
of the pipe,
Yeah.
it just doesn't.
I don't think so.
Good.
You can put a paper cup in the ground with, installed properly and it won't collapse. But you put plastic tile on a flat bottom, you're gonna have issues, definitely, because it's gonna go down as much as it takes to finally support the haunch, by that time it's too late. So we put everything in a deep spoon, spring line to pipe, when we get 12 foot of cover, we bed it all over the top. I'm very comfortable with that.
So on the ditch clean out, that little fur part, who's gonna be responsible for paying on that?
Well, the state, I think, is gonna allocate 75% cost share, and I can't honestly say that, but I'm pretty sure that they wanted to clean that first end out, and then the state was gonna cost share that for the drainage well closing for Hunter Marks.
The first part, right?
Yeah.
So you think they'll do the whole?
I don't know, that's why we need to have an engineer go survey it, tell us what we feel we should do, so
Because
that...
right now it's it's ponded in that
It
area.
is, because they've overdug it, but I think...
So if it may be good maybe.
Yeah, if they clean the whole ditch out, that's got a lot of fall at the very end, that water would leave.
Good.
That water would leave. We can lower that ditch probably another 2 foot if we wanted to, but I can't say that because I don't have the expertise to make that decision or do that. That's, because it's a district facility.
There's always been a hump in the middle of it, always.
That's something that we need to find out. So anyway, we appreciate everybody's time, as always.
No, we thank you.
Appreciate everybody getting together like this.
Well, you're gonna come with us and...
Well, it's a private project. I mean, I asked that whatever help you needed from the county and the drainage district, and you'll have to fight amongst yourselves.
Just two roads.
We appreciate you all wanting to.
Yeah, that's just a very visual, good thing, I think, to have this many people together to discuss this.
Eric, one of the things you can share with the board, please, is share the statute that I sent you, 468.622, which talks about
I understand.
covering the secondary roads.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you looking for there?
Well, I'd like to have you guys pay for the road crossings, but I've got it allocated right now. One of it's gonna require a boring, so it's a $20,000 crossing for both. I'm hoping, I estimated, and I had you guys pitching in half of that, of $10,000, to take care, to help us out. That was just my estimate.
That's, I just wanted to know, when you said you wanted help, that's...
Yeah, I know it is.
So, okay.
But I've got you paying for half of whatever the road crossings would be, rather than to what your policy, you know, is today, which I don't, in my view, I don't think it's right at all. I think it circumvents the law, because when you cross any state...
I know.
When you cross any state road crossing, you know, they pay 100%. I'm doing a state crossing at Highway 20, it's gonna be $50,000, and they pay 100% of it.
That law is, I have looked at that.
Yeah.
Also not a drainage attorney or any other kind of an attorney, but it is pretty clear that the state and/or county pays for road crossings. And if Bill has that factored in, so you're saying half?
Half.
That's pretty darn fair. When, you know, we don't, no one ever wants litigation and all that stuff.
Well, also, we go on the other route, it would cost us more.
Bingo. You wouldn't get half, then you'd
Well, let
pay for
me
it.
just express one thing. Everybody has their own county policy. Cassuth County has a different deal. On borings, they pay for 70% of the boring. If you paid 70% of the boring and 50% of the open cut, I'd be tickled pink if you just follow, you know.
I mean, that's
I
quite
think that's
fair if you
very
read the
fair.
law when it says pay for it, and you're paying half of that.
I understand why we wrote our own, you know, stuff in the counties to save money and all that, but it still, it irritates me a little bit.
The way the county looks at it is, why should the people in the other part of the county pay for that landowner's tile to go through that road? That's how the county looks at it.
Well, drainage was there
Yeah.
before roads, and roads became an impediment of improving drainage, and it really, you know, it's not anything to do with the landowners, I'm just saying, the law was clearly written to pay for it, and maintenance it, and take care of it. And I don't wanna get any,
Yeah,
you guys...
we don't need to go there today.
If you guys will help, that would be wonderful for the landowners, because I've got a $10,000, you know, part that you guys would put in, just a rough deal, 'cause I don't know what the boring's gonna be, but it would be wonderful if you guys would help pay for part of that. That's all I'm asking, for them.
Okay.
Okay?
Something for us to discuss.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
All right. I won't bring this
Appreciate
up
it.
again, by the way. On the 468.620.
We've had our conversations on that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
say you guys are doing things wrong, I just don't agree with it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all righty, so this one's settled, we can move on to DD 171, and the folks can go out to your meeting.
Good luck.
Thanks for putting it
Thank you.
together.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate your time always.
No, you have to, you have to get a collection from everybody that goes to the meeting. But if everyone goes, you want a couple bucks, you want to start by bucks.
Yeah, I got a notebook, you keep track of everything for us.
Have Carmen, Mike,
What's
have
that?
Carmen do that.
You and George.
Oh, no. Well, that Louis, he's the one that makes the right little boy.
Oh, yeah,
So we
absolutely.
kinda have a feeling for what direction, if you're out there at each other's throat, we know it isn't there, the sheriff gets
You know, there's a whole lot out there.
Carmen, I have a feeling that you'll, this is informal, but I think you'll informally keep us up to speed as far as...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
On the private side of it.
Yeah.
Because I know what, you know, I already made a couple, I checked here and how things are going.
Yeah, and, you know, if you have any questions, call me.
I have your number.
You
have my number.
Pretty
Yeah.
sure.
You have my number.
Bill.
Yeah.
And I feel soon to be like.
Yeah.
Isn't
So-
she
I want to
like-
find somebody to keep.
Hey, what do you do?
Still, so we just kind of go through it, type of it, just like the project.
Yeah.
We heard about it a couple weeks ago.
Future. And it's the same as what you did in the drainage, you just think that's it.
Well, yeah.
Thank you.
And that's,
That's fine, that, it should set some parameters, good luck with the meeting, I hope it goes really well.
So
I hope
do I.
it goes really well.
Take recorder.
We're being recorded over the second.
Yes, please.
Okay, now we move on to 171 Humboldt Pursuit. This is approved drainage assessment.
They have a joint district, and
Thank you very much.
This is what I'm...
no,
Oh, okay.
and, she found a bill for brushing weed control.
I think we might need to put the line in.
It's Humboldt Pursuit.
Okay. All right.
And, total amount to levy, $22,277.50. The part that goes to, Humboldt is $371.55. Yeah. So I just-
Basically, this is for brush control on probably on open ditches. They have contracted with P&W for weed and brush control, and that's our portion of the ditch that's in Humboldt County.
Do you wanna give him the number? Did you hear the number?
$71.25.
So we just need to,
Approve
Approve
payment.
it.
I make a motion to approve that payment.
And first,
Second.
second by Bruce, all in favor?
$371.25.
That all?
Mhm, that's the
Okay.
portion for Humboldt, yeah.
All right.
You
They're
take
the
that out of your
control.
check.
There you go.
Time. Okay, now we can move down to E35 Branch C and Branch M, continuation of the June 19th meeting.
You guys do this or we'll get in trouble.
Oh, okay, shut the door. They probably left now.
Probably open up again.
Okay.
They went out the door, so. Okay, what do you have for us on this? 35 Branch C and M.
Okay.
What is the reason that Rick's not here?
He had prior engagement.
Nobody else in their office was able to come?
Would've been nice.
He's the one that pretty much handles all this. There were oppositions, you know, that already, but, Rick put together an engineering report, excuse me.
We keeping you awake?
Kinda. And, what did he say here? We did check out the Branch M, option number 1 at half-inch coefficient. Considering the, ag well closure funding amount for concrete would remained $43,666 for the landowner. Polly was $43,202. And that's the half-inch coefficient. And it jumps up to the 1-inch coefficient for concrete at $73,057. Poly was $56,397. And
You didn't have a price for the dual wall pipe, did you?
no, and if we go the branch C way, which, you take the money that was earned from the grant funding on M and apply it towards C, which would benefit
More people.
more people. And, that leaves it at $452,130. For concrete at a half-inch coefficient, Poly was $585,558. Dual wall at $536,704. And then if you go to the 1-inch coefficient, for concrete, it was $828,218. Poly at $787,458. The dual wall was $707,336.
We run some off for these people up there. You guys haven't seen these numbers, have you, Kyle?
You had peeked off.
Have you got them?
I think we...
You have these
You guys
numbers?
got the sheets?
I'll make some more copies of them.
This has several levels of discussion.
Yes. First, you really need to decide
Which direction?
which direction. Remonstrance will apply to either one of them. You can, if you have enough landowners to remonstrate against the lateral M, that takes that out of the equation, and then you would rely on C,
C.
and then go from there.
Is there a different amount of landowners involved in each one, though?
Yes, C has quite a few landowners. It covers a
Bigger watershed.
lot bigger watershed. There is problems with branch C
Already.
currently. There's been repairs in that that are needed down actually within the first few thousand feet to the opening. And I don't know, it would be a benefit, but it's up to people.
What is the consensus from the people farming that area? Do you want to do more in the branch C, replacing that huge main, putting the money towards that? I know it's a more cost, but broken down, is it less per acre, because you're drawing in more acres? Trish?
What?
When you go to the branch C and you're spreading it over more acres, does it cost them down per acre wise, or is it gonna be higher?
The cost will still be higher, obviously, because your cost of the project itself, but there are quite a few more acres.
Yeah.
But you're also forgetting that the state is paying for it.
They're paying for, yeah.
So if you guys have to do it later on,
Then
that's...
it won't be done, yeah, they won't be
So
paying
it's more money.
consistent cents.
Well, being that basically our land and our sink well that has brought this all up, and that's the reason this $120-some thousand is available, it's my preference to replace that main. I think it's far more beneficial to more people, and I already have a tile that goes over to that, so I'm willing to use the tile there and donate that money towards a main that's overloaded, has been for just prior to 1960 when I moved over in that neighborhood.
Okay.
I'm on,
Okay.
I'm on that, I'm on that branch, and I just assume that long branch get done.
Get the new main put in and see.
Yep.
So was this the one that, Rick had talked about putting, if he put a new branch in, would they crush that?
Crush the old
Or
one.
would we leave that in
Was
existence?
that,
That's the two options.
That's what I wondered.
regardless, it's the new tile?
Right.
Yeah.
Because the other one is, that's a long time, Harlan.
And that portion.
That's a long time.
Well, it was put in 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my folks and I moved there in 1960 on the highway.
Yep.
And since that time, whenever we get rain that's enough to cover intakes, it boils out between where Jason Mont lives and where Dial lives, and there's a mile and a half of water going down to the ditch. Now, I'm not saying we can eliminate that by upsizing that, but
Well-
I'm sure we can reduce it a long way.
It's a way better structure, new, than something that hasn't worked for 60 years. So, I mean, this is a continuation of the earlier discussion, and if my memory serves me, that was sort of the leaning a while ago. And so are we at a point of making a decision?
Well, I think what we need to do is pick an option, and then allow enough time for remonstrance. I think that's 40 days, is that 40 days?
Because, okay, if you pick a,
Let me go check.
well, I know the first thing you have to pick is the option between this area and
Yeah,
that
'cause
area. And it seems
otherwise,
like
I don't know what the
C,
choice is.
seems like C is
Is
the...
what people want.
And then, does that also leave open, half-inch coefficient, 1-inch
Yes.
coefficient? So we're not making that decision, we're basically saying, this branch C, that's your choice. And then whether it's half or one, they can decide on
I
that.
better ask Trish that, whether we
I mean,
got half or one.
there's been pretty good discussion on this previously and
And
now.
are we looking at the 1-inch coefficient, or is the...
Yep, I think so. If there's no chance of remonstrance, regardless, do you still have to go through that, or?
Yeah, still have to...
You still have to do it because it's the legalities of all this.
The odds of it happening are slim to none, the way, because nobody's opposing the project, so...
Can we
But we
get,
still have to go through the process, in case someone comes up later and says, well, you didn't give us enough time.
And did that takes 70% of the land base in order to stop it?
Yeah. 50%.
50% of the owners and 70% of the acres or something?
One or the other, I believe. So it...
50% of the owners owning 70% of the land.
I think it takes both.
Does it
so our
take-
biggest question is, do we have to set it on, I don't know for sure, but say it's
We are.
one option?
We are at preliminary engineering for hearing. This is a continuation from before.
That's what I thought.
So, whatever we choose is what we'll go to bid letting with.
Oh, okay, so we've gone through, allowed enough time for the remonstrance to come through, maybe that...
And the bid lighting is always the options, 1-inch, half-inch, so
On C, item
on
3.
C, we made the motion, I would make a motion to proceed with the option of branch C on drainage district number 35, lateral M, branch C.
Okay. And we'll put it out for bids for all three options.
Correct.
Okay, I have a motion, a second by Dave. Any more discussion on this topic? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Can you
carries.
set a bid date?
Yeah.
Well, we will have to set a bid date.
So,
That's where it'd be nice if
Well,
Dave was here.
I was gonna say,
We
we're
don't
setting
know
a
his
bid date
schedule,
when,
so that's kind of difficult to pick. I suppose we can pick a date, and if he can't make it, but...
do we have anything else going on this week that we aren't gonna be back here, right?
let me look here and make sure.
Let's set it up for next week, we'll pick a bid date after we hear from him, what would be working out for his schedule.
Who sets the parameters of what they're bidding on?
Well, it'll be his engineering report, how it's designed, we'll,
So will it be replacing the old one then? Is that how they're gonna bid it, or?
Is that what he mentioned earlier, is crush in place, or was he gonna tie
I
it?
think it's, no, I don't think it's.
I think he was
I
gonna
think
play
it's-
it parallel to it and put, adjoining tiles.
That's what I heard was parallel on the west side, is what I heard last time.
I believe
And
that's
then
correct,
around
and then
the-
obviously, I mean, the connections will all be made and everything into the new structure. No?
That's not our preference.
Well, that's what, it's the farmer's preference, if you want it, because the problem is when you lay it parallel, you gotta come back and fix and fix and fix, or else you gotta come in some other day and crush it and hook it all up. I mean, what condition is that main in? Is it in poor condition already?
It's 100 years old.
Yeah.
Undersized.
It's undersized and 100 years old.
Some of that hooking across won't be up to discussion, it'll depend on where the grade is and if you hit them or not, and if they're there, if you cross them and they're both there in the same spot, you're gonna have to hook them across. If one's above or one's below, you don't have to. I think you just have to state your preference on the vote, if you wanna hook them across or not, and then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, whether you know, really basically if you wanna crush the old main and hook everything up right and be done.
That might be the better option at this point, means it is a huge improvement, that's why it's leaning this direction, and be done with it.
Yeah.
Well, Donna and I, we talked that over a little bit about, you know, if you went with a parallel tile, you could probably get by with a half-inch coefficient, and then you're using the old tile, and then you're gonna play Russian roulette, and
Yeah,
so whether it's 2 years or 20
Exactly.
years down the line.
And then you're out there fixing it, then where do you quit? You say, well, let's fix it for 10 years and
Yep.
fix
Right.
here and fix there. and-
So, I guess we're of the opinion that let's go with the inch coefficient and run it right where the old one is, and that should take care of,
Then you don't miss any hookups either.
That's
That's right.
that's our two preferences.
That does,
Is anyone here opposed to that idea?
bid it that way then.
Yeah, let's,
So bid,
It's more expensive up front, but in the long...
It might be in the long run a way more cost effective, because you know in a sooner than later future, that's gonna fail, and then you're just gonna incur cost upon cost, and
yeah.
it always happens at the wrong time. Here's a catastrophic failure, and I'd like to plant, but I have a huge hole in my field now.
Well, they're going through it now, they just don't do it right.
This, and it just, hopefully be good for another 100 years, or none of us will have to worry about it.
Speak for yourself.
yes.
Well, you will, I know you'll say.
Do we need to amend that motion then, so that, or should we just put it in motion that this,
Well, if I wanna be in there, and then,
will, be a crush the old tile?
can,
Just do the,
Okay, we're, gonna add another motion to the effect of crush the existing tile, crush the old main. And this bid is gonna be crush the old main and hook up all connections.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we will have to get back to us for a date, because we don't have our engineer here to give us a date.
We have it as to get a date set
For bid letting.
by a week from today,
Yeah, because we don't know when he'll have his materials all ready to put out.
but we'll have it, yeah, we'll have a date set by this time next week for
Yeah.
bid letting.
Will we be informed so that we can have input into the specifications that he requires in the bids?
What's that you're asking?
Well, I talked to Rick on the phone,
Okay.
and we was discussing, if we go with the dual wall, it's very important that you get a good bottom, and that tile gets set in there correctly
Yeah.
in order to make it stay around for this 100 years we're talking about. And it can be done by having a rounded bottom on your bucket to dig it out so it fits
Yeah.
the size of the tile. And I don't know if he's got that in the specs or not, but I know we discussed it.
I'm sure he would, but,
because I know actually, he drew it out for me about the tile and
And
how it should go
one
under
other
and over.
question, when you go from half inch to an inch coefficient, you go with bigger tile. Now, does the flow line get lower so that you still have the same amount of dirt on top of the tile? Or does the flow line stay the same and you have less soil on top of the tile?
I would guess he could probably go a little flatter with a larger tile. But,
Well, I would just assume you go deeper so the tile
Yeah.
comes into the top side, otherwise it's coming in
Right.
towards the bottom side of the tile, and I don't think we'll get the...
so the flow line would be deeper when you go with
That-
larger tile.
Should all be properly engineered, that they
Yeah.
realize, and obviously,
That's just...
not speaking on any professional terms, but it is gonna make a difference with the topography and everything, that's a very good point. Yeah, how, does it get, the top of the tile get shallower as it gets bigger, or do they lower it down just a little bit to keep the same level of cover? Very valid question.
Because that will affect where your lines
Entrance
Yes.
main, yeah.
come,
Well-
your laterals come into it.
If this is engineered properly, there is some pre-inspection, if you will, pre-work done to determine that, to make sure that when they set the grade is proper.
I would think the grades, even though it's 100 years ago, they've got the tile sizes that's in there.
Correct.
The grades, the depth should be in there, and that should be fairly close.
Yes, as long as they check all that out, we usually have a pretty good information to start with. But I don't know how much of this has been done.
I do have a note on here that Rick's specs call for the crushed stone around and under the pipe, and then they work it in. Is how he put it,
On the double wall or the poly?
dual.
On the dual wall.
I don't know what it is,
So I guess the question I have is, the figures that we're seeing, I mean, is that Rick have in his mind, that's paralleling? Is the cost gonna be different if you destroy and replace the old ones in the same spot? I guess that's a question I think that needs to be asked.
I think so
And we will.
'Cause if that
hang on.
material...
Because I believe this estimate was parallel.
Right, 'cause if that material impacts the dollars, then
We'll have to direct
you'll have
him
to kind of rethink that, 'cause it could be more or less, or...
What about Leah Collins?
She's got him on the phone.
We can direct him to make that change.
Make sure he's in an area.
I think it's too bad that you didn't have someone from this polypropylene tile company or whoever manufactures it, visit with everybody and let them know just what this is, because nobody really knows much about it other than it's out there. And it's high priced,
Yeah.
and why? Other than it's new.
Yes.
Okay, Rick, hang on just a minute, okay, and I'll put you on speaker.
Are you there?
Hello?
Hello, I hear you.
Okay. Say, Rick, we got some questions. The landowners are here on 35 C&M. And their consensus is they would prefer to have the old main removed or crushed, and then the new 1-inch coefficient
That worked real well.
dug in. You know, of course, these numbers you're showing them are estimates. They're just curious whether it goes up or down doing that, or if it's cheaper to crush it and replace it, or is it more expensive when you parallel it?
It comes out fairly close because you have the extra cost of dealing with the old pipe if you replace it. But if you replace pipe from junction box,
Yeah, then you have to have junction boxes and cross pipes and all that, so it's
pipe,
nice. cell phones are great.
Mm.
Hello?
Sounds like we lost you.
Oh,
No, there you are, okay. That was their concerns, that it probably won't be a whole lot, it more than likely be a little less money, would you say?
would be a lot different, either way.
Would be
The
much-
cleaner job in the end would be replacing the one that's there.
Yeah,
There you go.
okay,
And we don't miss any laterals either.
all right.
Bid letting?
We're going with the option, 4, I guess it would be. That's what they're looking at. I don't know if it's necessary to bid the half-inch or not. Is there even any need to bid half-inch?
This one, we wouldn't need to bid the half-inch when they're, well, no, because,
Because you go by the engineer's report for the cost share anyway, right?
right, yeah.
Okay, but what we're looking for is a date for our bid letting. Since you're not here, we couldn't ask you when you'd like to take this to bids.
What was your question, you wanted?
You got it.
We got it, all right.
Hello?
Did we lose you yet?
Vote.
Hello?
Just went, light
Yeah.
went off.
Just lost him.
In my text to him, he said, like a month minimum, because they need to check on wetlands.
Okay.
Hopefully, I don't think it's gonna be that.
Well, that doesn't really change anything
I was
we
gonna say-
discussed. We're still gonna hopefully have be able to set that date.
Yeah.
In a week from now.
Well,
And I'll send
we'll do that. We'll set it up for the agenda to, is he still there?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, we're back here. Should we just wait till next week to set a bid letting date?
Yeah, that'd work real well. Then we can kind of gather our thoughts and be sure what we're up to here.
Okay, that'd be fine with everybody, and you can just call in and we'll give you the date.
Has that money been set aside for this?
Is there any other questions on this project?
Hey, Rick, has this money been set aside for Mike?
Yes.
So we're good on that side?
Good work.
You got, everybody get their questions answered? That was good. That was a good question. Good to get the
Put the
answer.
money from the cheaper job to this more expensive job to benefit more people.
Yeah. Okay, well, there doesn't seem to be any more questions from the farmers here, and
Okay.
I think we're good.
Very good.
Very good.
All right, well, thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
We'll get back to you this week, and you can give us a date that you prefer for the bid letting. Are you still there? Nope.
I will be there.
Crawl up in the nearest
All right.
tree.
Give Trish a call when you get a chance.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Rick.
Thank you,
All right,
everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Low spot.
Hey Trish, what are the
Thanks,
elections
guys.
you can do for the assessment, like 1 year, 10 year for the landlords? Do you have the short version of that, or is it online somewhere?
It goes 10 to 20,
Yeah.
10, 15, 20.
Okay.
And I think you can break it out in 40-acre parcels. If you want to pay one off, you can.
Right.
Yeah. You have to pay, whatever
You
the
gotta pay the
parcel
whole
is, you have to
40
pay the whole parcel when you pay it.
I have, yeah, full amount or whatever.
And interest on the deferred rather than paying it up front, is there? 6? All right, thank you.
And she accepts that with a smile, too.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
Easy money.
Okay, have a motion to go out of drainage.
Second.
Second by Eric, all in favor?
Aye.
We are out of drainage.
We have a quick break?
Yeah, let's take a little short recess.
Milton has a lot.
Are you looking at that for time?
Who was first on that motion?
Dave?
Eric seconded it.
Oh.
I'm so...
Why are you sitting by
No,
me?
no, back and forth. I just, I can't...
Did you sign that claim? Oh, we haven't approved it yet.
One more item.
What do you call them, weeds?
Yeah,
Here's this. That'd be worse than some.
Really today.
Just figure that out, and I don't want you getting crapping out on us now, we got too many other things to do.
I think it's wrong. Peggy told me not to mess with it, I got scolded.
What'd you do, push the button?
I shut the camera off.
That's, well, I've already told everybody that complained about the video, I said,
Yeah,
it's
it's my fault.
Oh, I
She went to recess and I shut it off, and she came in and turned it on, and then she, I don't know, but she thought it was on and off. Hi, Peggy. I haven't touched the button, so.
Okay, still on?
I think it's still on.
Do you want it on?
I don't, we're in a recess, so. Say, Paul. It's $1,200 an acre. We're usually 16. Okay, we're back on our recess, and we have Melody here and Erica Blair, ICC, or CCI.
Yep. I'm gonna start by saying I'm not quite at the top of my game today. I'm still not feeling very good, and today is kind of one of those days it's kicking me in the, you know what. I have brought Erica with me today because I'm gonna take myself out of being like the middle person and not giving the correct information to the Board of Supervisors. Erica's group are very proactive where the hog confinements are concerned, and I think that we need to keep an open mind and take a look at what she has to say. Going forward, I think we can maybe make some progress in the direction this freight train is going for the hog confinements. I'm still looking into the lobbyist aspect. I had a meeting Friday in Des Moines. Spoke to Dane Schumann, and he said it is a very viable and a very attainable option, if that's an option that the board would like to go forward with. Webster County is interested. I believe Pocahontas County is interested as well right now, and I still have to reach out to a couple of others. I'm going to give the board to Erica. She does have some paperwork with her, and keep in mind that part of it is confidential. It's a draft, and it's not for public usage as of yet. So, yeah.
Thank you for taking some time to hear what I have to say. Thank you, Melody, for inviting me to share with you some things that I'm working on. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm actually from Humboldt. I grew up here, and I graduated from Humboldt High School in 2008. And now I'm with Iowa Citizens for Community Improvement, which is an organization based in Des Moines. And just to give you a little more background information about CCI, we actually started in Waterloo in the mid-'70s by a group of priests. And now, 42 years later, we have expanded statewide, and we have nearly 4,000 members in all 99 counties. And we work on a range of issues from immigration, racial justice, worker justice, and of course, the environment. And so I'm on the Farm and Environment team, and part of my job is to get better policies passed in order to improve conditions for everyday Iowans in the environment. And Iowa CCI actually has a history of working with Humboldt County, which predates my time by a couple decades, probably. But some of you probably know what I'm talking about. It was in the mid-'90s. Humboldt County was a trailblazer in trying to pass some ordinances that would hold animal feeding operations to higher community and environmental standards that were above the state's bare minimum requirements. So Humboldt was basically trying to get some more local control on this issue, and CCI worked with supervisors in the community during that time. And unfortunately, that was struck down by the state, as I'm sure you all know. And now counties are unable to pass anything that is higher than the state's bare minimum requirements when it comes to animal confinement. So this has certainly had an impact on Iowa's landscape. And when I talk to people across the state on this issue, it seems pretty clear that, in general, people would like to have some more local control, especially because these types of developments have such a big environmental and community impact. And so the lack of local control was kind of at the heart of the Environmental Protection Commission meeting last month, which is where I met Melody and Louis Fallison, and I think his name is John Beatty. Yep. So Iowa CCI regularly attends these meetings, and I was especially interested in going to that one because it was my home county that was appealing a decision by the DNR to approve hog confinement by Iowa Select. And so I was really, really pleased to see that the supervisors and Melody were exercising due diligence on this issue, thoroughly reviewing the master matrix and manure management plans, and, you know, using all of the tools that are available to you, which include bringing the issue up to the EPC. So I wanted to thank you for that. So I was, quite frankly, kind of shocked when Iowa Select requested that the EPC take away your right to use the master matrix for the remainder of 2017, because from what I could see, you were just doing your job and serving your community. You know, counties have such little voice already, as I explained. You know, very little local control in the master matrix is really the only thing that you do have at this point. So I was really relieved that the EPC did not do that. That being said, the master matrix obviously does have quite a few flaws, and I'm sure you're all aware of that. So the master matrix was created in 2002 by the Iowa legislature, essentially to try to address this issue of local control a little bit. And it was intended to give communities and supervisors more of a voice in the siting of animal confinement. And it is supposed to hold these confinements to higher environmental and community standards. But in the 15 years that it's been in existence, we haven't really seen that happen. It's not local control. The DNR still has the ultimate say in whether or not a facility can build. 50% is a passing score, which is, you know, an S by most standards. And in 2007, the DNR did its own analysis of the master matrix, which showed that some items on the matrix are practically taken all the time, while others are hardly ever taken at all, which seems to indicate that, you know, some of these items are basically freebies because they're just so easy to get. DNR records also show that only 2.2% of applications that require a matrix review are denied by the DNR. So the master matrix itself hasn't done a whole lot to deter construction of confinements that may pose significant risk to the environment or to communities. As a result of this, some communities have started passing resolutions, and I don't know if you've heard about this at all, but these resolutions call for a suspension on CAFO construction and or changes to the master matrix to make it stronger. And I have a copy of a sample resolution if you'd like to take a look at that as well. But right now, my count is we're up to 13 counties that have called for a stronger master matrix, whether they passed a resolution or wrote a letter to DNR and legislators. And so those counties include Allamakee, Winneshiek, Adair, Dickinson, Buchanan, Cedar, Johnson, Floyd, Howard, Webster, Cerro Gordo, Hardin, and Pocahontas. Pocahontas didn't pass a resolution, but they wrote a letter, as I said. And so unlike ordinances, which is what Humboldt County was, you know, running into problems with in the 90s, these are resolutions, and so, as you know, these are non-binding. They are symbolic, but they do send a really strong message to DNR and legislators that people would like a change with the master matrix. And so this spring, CCI toured the state. We went to 8 different communities to hear from over 100 Iowans about what changes they would like to see in the master matrix. And using this input, as well as DNR's 2007 analysis and these resolutions that have been passed around the state, Iowa CCI worked with our legal allies at Food and Water Watch, which is an environmental organization based in D.C., to draft a formal rulemaking petition to the DNR to make changes to the master matrix and strengthen it. And so that's what Melody is referring to. I have copies of that petition, and it is in draft form, so I just want to emphasize that. There will be some final tweaking going on, but I just wanted to share this with you today. So what does this actually mean, the rulemaking petition? It's a legal process that's spelled out in Iowa code. Legislature makes the laws, and then agencies like the DNR are tasked with creating rules to implement those laws. So this petition is specifically getting at those rules that DNR created, and DNR can change those rules outside of legislature. And the reason we're going this route is because, it hasn't seemed like the legislature has made much headway on this issue for many years, and this is one thing that we can do right now. So the petition asks for several things: a higher passage rate, so that applicants must earn a higher score rather than the current passage rate of 50%. A one-time enrollment period to remove burdens on county supervisors to readopt the master matrix every single January. You have to use the construction evaluation resolution to do that. Greater separation distances beyond the state's minimum requirements from things like schools, homes, public use areas, water bodies, etc. More site-specific items, so that the master matrix takes into consideration things like the local topography, so like karst terrain, or the current water quality conditions in the area. Revisions to the point structure to incentivize practices that would prevent or mitigate pollution. Additional items for things like water quality monitoring and air quality monitoring. And the elimination of some items that don't really provide any community or environmental benefit. So our goal is to file the petition this month with the Environmental Protection Commission. And after we file it, there will be a period of 60 days when it's under review. And at that time, we will find out whether or not they're going to take up the petition or if they will defer it. So we've asked other counties to co-sign the petition, and the reason is because, you are the stakeholders who are most affected by this, and you use the master matrix all the time. And so I have copies of the petition with me, and I would invite you to take a look at it, and invite you to co-sign if you feel like this is something that you support. And I'll go ahead and pass them around and answer any questions that you may have.
I think if we enter into this, we don't want to be anti-hog operations all the way. We just want them to follow the rules. And if we get those point systems changed a little bit, we'd be making real progress.
Yeah.
When they can use some points and not use other points, that defeats the whole purpose.
Right.
My opinion.
So the first copy there is an executive summary of the petition. That one, correct. And then the second document, which is stapled, is a draft of the petition, and it's kind of nitty-gritty. So if you have specific questions about that, I'll try to answer them, but I may have to ask Tara, who is the lawyer who's been working on that part, for any specific question.
What's the problem? We already get the DNR to change the rules. the legislature won't change
That one is
anything.
out.
I have no idea. I feel like it's kind of a 50-50 right now, kind of a toss-up.
Talking with the DNR, they tell us we can do one thing, but then you have to check into it, and state says you can't do nothing as a county. We can't do nothing, our hands are tied.
That's the
Yeah, we can't do
problem.
anything
Yeah.
above the state.
No.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem.
The state ordinance says that you can't do nothing. So, as a county, we have to approve everyone that comes through, because we can't do a thing.
Yeah.
And they gotta realize Humboldt County, 100 years ago, was a swamp. No other county in the state's that way. Humboldt County is unique in that way. That's why we're doing all this drainage.
Mhm.
But yet they're putting all the hog houses up there. I'm not against the hog houses. I like pork just as well as anything else, but we gotta have rules and regulations. Every one of them that's been built has been built on a dredge ditch or a creek or a well or, you know, you gotta have some regulations in it.
I think that's part of the reason why you have so many people dragging their feet, because that's the position they take. If they were chasing the same farmer across the road that's putting on anhydrous and putting on chemical right next to that ag drain well, you might get a little more interest from the people.
Right.
It's still manure.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and unlike some of the people that we've all heard that they're out dumping manure by boatloads around the intake, most farmers are pretty damn conscious of what they do. And, we can't get any more black dirt for the people that wanna stay in the farming business. You know, there is no more ground that, other than you go out and tear a grove out, you might get a little more dirt to farm. This is an avenue that people have used to try to keep kids on the farm, because it's like, every one of us are seeking
Trying to make a
a
little money.
little more extra money to help pay. And that's, you know, when money's tight, we all go looking for another way to make a little extra money. So, I guess I'm not against that, but I have a hard time believing that, you know, I think that the master matrix certainly needs to be tweaked. And I certainly believe that we should have the ability, like we did, when they had double acres for 2 sites, we ought to be able to tell them, that's not right. It's not right by anything, whether you're putting whatever you're on it, but...
And we should have the right to tell them to record these things.
The law says they do it.
Well, and this here, from what I understand, is a way, our only way to tell DNR, you have that ability, you now need to make that master matrix more stringent. You know, you've got to make it more, 50% isn't acceptable to our lives here. We need to make it viable.
And there are certain things that would not be able to change. Some things are spelled out in Iowa code. And so this is only getting at sort of the nitty-gritty pieces in the master matrix. So like this wouldn't solve the local control issue, but it is sort of the only tool that you have right now.
Is there any way you make them, that master matrix, so they have to use some points from each area? They take all the points in one area and disregard the other, and still pass.
There are 3 categories, I mean, you know this because you're a supervisor, but you know, they have the air quality category, the water quality, and the community category, and so they have to meet a certain threshold of points for each of those categories. But from what I have seen in master matrices that I've reviewed, a lot of points are easily earned by separation distances, so it seems like there's disproportional weight on some things and not others. And so that's, again, what we're trying to get at here.
You're telling us our only chance to attack the rules with DNR rather than go after legislators at this point?
At this point, this is something that they can change right now through rulemaking. I would also say, you know, that this is another avenue to apply pressure to legislators. If they see that counties are signing on and counties are demanding a change from the master matrix, if the DNR doesn't take it up, then it's, you know, just another thing to point to, you know, to legislators that, hey, we tried this, it didn't work. Now it's back in your hands now. The ball's in your court, you need to do something. So.
And it's a slow process all the way along. I just think that we have to be diligent, keep our mind open, and...
You think with the urban legislature, urban society, there shouldn't be that much trouble getting it changed, but we talk about it, so, but they don't even want to talk about it.
But there's no change in the people that are on the EPC. You know, if the members are the same every year and every year and every year and every year, there's one line of thinking. You know,
The board doesn't change.
Right, and without new blood or new change, you know, new people in there, new ideas, our state is almost archaic. You know, we're not gonna move forward, we're not gonna be progressive, and we're not gonna be proactive and be compassionate about our state and our surroundings.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, and nothing against you, Erica, I've known you for a long time. So I don't want this to sound, but I have a hard time, because sometimes the CCI has been a little on the, you know, they've been quite vocal and make accusations and stuff that I guess you know, and I don't wanna say that they're a little too vocal sometimes, but you know, I don't really know that I wanna hang my hat, because I still believe that there's a lot of farmers out there that do a dang good job, farming and are interested in making sure that everything is done according to the laws. I don't know what we can do as supervisors to make the state, we're supposed to keep an eye on these things, but yet when we deny something, it goes down there and it just gets basically tossed out the side door, because, yeah, so, I mean, to us, it kinda makes us feel like, why do we even have to go through the trivial pursuit of chasing a application through your office, through this desk, to back out the door, and you're just gonna rubber stamp it when it gets down there. So, you know, I'm as frustrated as everybody in the state is, but we still have to figure out a way to make them listen to us down there. If that's workable, I guess I'm for it. I just don't wanna be the one that's standing on the corner.
The petition does these things right here. We haven't had time to read all that. That does address those items. I don't see anything wrong with the petition. That's harmless, really. The good guys are gonna want this done anyway.
And Winneshiek, I earlier had given Peggy a copy of a petition or a resolution that Winneshiek had put forward. They're asking for a moratorium, I can't say the word, kind of a halt to any of...
Moratorium.
Thank you.
And they call it a suspension, but it's the same thing.
Right.
And I have a copy here.
Melanie gave us that.
Yeah, and I don't know if that is something that y'all want to entertain as well, you know, kind of halt the new ones coming in for the time being, just so we can kind of get a handle on it.
Well,
That option is out there as well for y'all to think about.
It's not necessarily a slippery slope we walk, and we've all stated that, no, we're pro-livestock. We don't wanna allude to Bruce's comments, which are quite relevant. We don't wanna get thrown under the bus, by the general public, that we're aligning ourselves with CCI, and nothing against CCI. They don't have the best connotation with livestock producers. I agree with most of these points, you know, and what Melody and I, the board has had a lot of discussion about. We want a little more teeth in it. We don't want to deny left and right and moratorium on no livestock facilities, but things have kind of gotten lax, you know, technology has changed exponentially in everything. There's, things out there for confinement operations and that can be utilized today that weren't available 20, 30 years ago when some of them were being built. We want to have the option to look at some of that. We don't want to, you know, the perception is becoming, and this will only come out in the media, if Humboldt County is aligning themselves with CCI, they've all gone the left-wing, wacko, tree hugger dimension, direction, and that's not what we're about.
No.
And we're not, because Bruce makes a salient point, you know, you may only have X number of acres to farm, and you've mentioned this in the past, you bring in the second generation, and if it can be a legitimate, we'll just use a hog facility in this example, that may keep that second generation on the farm transitioning till the older generation moves on and they can continue on with it. We don't want to ever deny people their livelihood, which is agriculture, and part of agriculture is you know, is livestock.
Well, we think back to how many years ago, it wasn't that long ago, that you did have manure running down the ditch because they were outside floors and it was...
So there's the technology.
The
best place for a hog lot is in the side hills.
Yeah.
Or when it ran into the creek.
You go down through Carroll County and all those hog, or cattle confinements.
And so we're kind of going back to, utilize, you know, mention technology, you know, we do want things to be better, you know, we have better methods of farming and better methods of raising livestock, but we want to make sure that they are better and that some rules are followed, and they just can't say, well, state says we can do whatever, no teeth from the counties. That's, we're just looking to have a little bit more say, so take a look at it, not deny them, but...
Well, if you ask us to police it, then listen to...
Yeah, if we're supposed to go look at it, is this a good spot? Are we going back to the days of the manure running down the hill into the creek? We don't want that. We want it to be, you know, up to standards and that. And, we've got no say-so. We're looking for a little bit more say-so. And not, gotta publicly state, we're not trying to deny livestock in Humboldt County.
Part of our problem today is we had more hogs in Iowa in 1940 than we have today. They haven't just concentrated now, that's what's giving us a problem. We had more numbers back in the 40s than we have today, what I read. But we have them in fewer places. That's what, we don't have the mom and pop hog, a few here and a few there. We have 1,000 here and 1,000 here and 1,000 here. Probably nobody, very few people in Humboldt County raise any livestock at all, except the big confinement.
Well, then they're very evident, you know, they're in big...
But the same, I mean, if you compare apples to apples, we talk about hog factories, well, how, would you compare a grain farmer? Is he a corn factory? Is he a bean factory?
No.
Well, all of those farmers, it's all becoming that way, you know, you try to produce as much as you can so you can sell as much as you can, and the corporations have got in to help, you know, make it easier for you to have livestock, to have that extra income. And I'm nothing against the CCI, and I hope we don't have the register or the Humboldt paper says Humboldt, whatever term you use, the wacko or something like that.
Well, I know that's the
Please
perception,
don't
when they
do that, 'cause I don't want my phone
CCI and
ringing.
Humboldt County in the same sentence, well, they've gone
They went
off,
off the-
they went off the deep end,
I think that
they...
from what I'm hearing, it sounds like we want the same things. We want agriculture to be regulated just like any other industry.
But-
And so that's what this petition is trying to...
Well, we don't, none of us like over-regulation either, you know, that's, we're inundated with over-regulation of everything, but...
You know, those items that they listed, what this petition asked for, I don't think any of us oppose any of those.
No, I think it's very common sense.
And if that's what this does, I'd be in favor of that.
What I'd like you guys to do is take time, read through these drafts. I feel it's my job is to inform you guys and to get as much information for you to make informed decisions. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm trying to bring you options and ideas on what direction to go. Nothing in granite, nothing in stone. I guess I'm pulling my EMA job into this as well, because I'm kind of the resource person, and I start conversations, and that's what I'm doing with this.
What's this date down here? We need to know by July 14th. Is that our deadline?
That's when we would have liked to know, although I know, like, it was a very, very quick timeline, so, I know that you meet once a week, so if you have a meeting next Monday, we're planning on filing it on the 18th, so if you have a decision on the 17th, that would work too.
Before I make a decision, I'd like to read this all over.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
think you do need time to read it through.
Probably want to see a final draft too. But, yeah, I just wanted to share this with you, so thank you for
All right.
taking the time.
Good information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one more thing for me.
You wanna put yourself into one.
Oh, sorry.
One thing, you're out of time.
Um,
Go ahead.
I have a class scheduled in Fort Dodge at Triton Hall on the
College?
31st. Yes, and it is cybersecurity. The company coming up to teach it is Teaks out of Houston, Texas. That was actually the first class I took when I took the EMA job. It's an incredible class. It's about an $18,000 class to have them come up and present it. I'm getting it for free. I would really, really, I know it's a Monday, but I would really, really like to have each and every one of you guys there.
18th of this month?
No, 31st.
Oh.
It's, huh?
All day or evening?
It's 6 hours, 9 to 4. They're gonna provide a lunch, but,
He's trying to coax us in.
yeah,
Bring
well,
lunch.
it's cybersecurity, and I tell you what, after I took that first class, I didn't wanna hook up to anybody else's internet. I mean, it's for businesses, it's for courthouses, that kind of thing. Anybody and everybody's welcome. Scott Forbes and I out of Webster County are kind of co-hosting this, so we're trying to put it out there as much as we can. Very, very good class, so if you guys can make it, please let me know.
That's a Monday, we have a meeting.
I know.
Can you send us an email if you haven't
I
already?
can send it to Peggy.
Nine.
It's 9 to 4. I know it's
You're
a,
putting all the pressure right there.
Yeah.
I know it's a Monday, but it would be an awesome class. I promise you would get a lot of good out of it.
ISAC sent information about that, or somebody, we already have.
Well, there's a number of them going on. This one is actually, it's FEMA sponsored. They pull all kinds of top-notch instructors to come to these. Teaks has
What was that date again?
the 31st, July.
July 31st at 9 a.m.
Right.
9
Teaks goes in many different directions as far as instructions, and they pull from task force, search and rescue, cybersecurity. But with everything going on now, they are up to date, the latest information.
What if you're like really poor? Like, I mean, I'm not the best with this phone is way over my head and the computer is way, way over my head. Are we gonna be out of our league?
No. Nope. You're talking somebody that 2 weeks into my job got shoved into this class, not knowing anything going on, and I'm pretty illiterate when it comes to a computer. I can turn it on and type an email, and that's about it.
Well, I'm the grandpa that has my grandkids come sit and so,
Well, if you weren't scared of the internet before, you will be after this class.
Well, perhaps we can
Terrify you.
discuss that. I don't know if everyone could, entire board could go. Maybe we
Yeah.
can find someone that can.
Mhm. I'm just,
Well,
yeah,
we
and
know we
I-
have you there, and we know that you'll report back to us, so there's
Yeah.
no doubt about
well, it
that.
sounds like somebody should try to, at least will we get stared at if we walk in late?
No,
Depending on what Rick gets us out of here in time.
Yeah, there we go, pressure.
We're not very good at keeping schedules.
No, it's late, as of late, pretty slow.
so anyway, I was just gonna put that out there. You guys are also welcome. It's open to the public.
Is it free?
It is.
Cool.
It is. That's what I said, the joy of this is, it's like an $18,000 class, but it doesn't cost you anything to go to it. And the better my participation is for these classes, the more of them I can bring into our county through FEMA. So,
Looks like we have a 7:30, 8:30.
Anybody?
That time.
anybody in the courthouse is welcome.
Okay.
Anybody in the courthouse is welcome to come too, if you want to send anybody. Do, and then just get back to me with about how many. I have to have 24, so I figure 12 from here and 12 from at least Fort Dodge.
So it's 9 to like what?
9 to like 4-ish. Teaks, they're the type of a group that if you want to just do like a working lunch and sit and eat while they're talking, they'll get you out sooner. They're really good about doing stuff like that. So,
Good.
All right, thanks.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Erica.
Yeah, thank you.
Erica, do you have a copy of that petition?
So it's a draft, so we're not sending it out, no, sorry.
They can't see the front, the little page?
Oh, yeah, they can see that,
The little
the
page,
executive summary.
The little page is more important for them.
Yeah, that's,
You get a copy of it?
I'll just take a picture of it on the phone. Oh.
she's got a copy.
You get a copy?
So are we supposed to give these back?
So when-
No, we just don't hand them out because they are confidential.
Okay. So, Jacobs, finally we got you up to the table.
Good morning.
Sorry about that, but
I saw drainage in front.
Yeah. That always gets lengthy. Should put drainage later, but never know what's gonna happen.
What we have is vouchers for our asphalt projects, for our resurfacing projects. The first one is our local approved voucher number 3 to Heartland Asphalt, Inc., for work completed on P60 2017 resurfacing project L697346. This represents everything on this project. Well, all of these will represent everything except for retainage. And in this case, it's all funded locally, so indeed it should show up in claims as $16,913.44. Questions?
Just reshuffling the paper.
I didn't have them stapled together this time, or did I? Very good.
I would make a motion to approve voucher 3 to Heartland Asphalt for L6973 and -46, the amount of $16,913.44.
Got first and second, any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next 3 are vouchers that are all through the FM fund with secondary roads, Humboldt County Secondary Roads account. So we approved the units completed on the following number 3 vouchers to Heartland Asphalt for the 2017 resurfacing projects. It's the FM parent 62, 63, and 65. 62 is P20, north of Addison, 63 is P30, the Bode Hoverton Road, and P56 is east and north of Livermore. All are complete, as shown on here, and the only thing again remains is retainage. There will be, incentive, paid, will be an extra work order for, percent within limits, and I believe the number is somewhere in 20,000 plus or minus, is what will come through as an extra work order for their incentive pay on these projects, and otherwise, everything's complete.
What of incentive pay, Paul?
Percent within limits is they get rewarded for being in bounds on the spec, and it's so much by how tight they keep it. If they're out of bounds, they get disincentive. If they're in bounds, they get an incentive.
Basically quality.
Quality control?
Well, it's quality, and it used to be that you were expected to be in specs,
Now you have to pay.
and then if you're out of specs, you got dinged. Now, it's both ways. You have a base, and then you have incentive. On the concrete side, it's a little different, because we bid smoothness. We didn't bid smoothness with here, but they have, in the asphalt industry, it's percent within limits. Simply, it's incentive and disincentive is what it amounts to. You'd get a more thorough answer from one of Mr. Jessen, for instance, would give you a better answer.
Well, that's fair enough.
Well, for a bill of $657.99, you'd think he'd just throw that in.
We can note and ask him.
I'm gonna call him and ask him if there's any way he'd toss that into the county.
I think you'd get a short answer on that.
Sure that.
But, again, it's units complete. We do a summary that will give you dollars and cents equivalent, but you're really only approving the unit column, so.
In regard to this, probably not, that they didn't do fine, obviously, they didn't have their incentive and all that good stuff, but, that Bode Hoverton Road, and there was discussion on this, the 2 approaches, the one is the driving public, pretty unacceptable yet on the north side.
Is this on the bridge?
Yes. You know, they went back and did some work on the south side, I know that's been there, but it seems like maybe it even got worse with the nice resurfacing project that was done. Can something be done to remedy that?
We looked at the north side, Eric, in the 10, 12 feet, we had half inch, and one spot that was 3/4 inch.
Okay.
To mess with that, I'm afraid that we end up with, worse than we have it in the first place at this point. Unless you mill it all out and start over, and then you have to match the mill. You still have to match either end then, instead of just one spot. We elected to ask them to try to repair the south approach because we had measurable differences with a sag right in front of the bridge. They matched the bridge, 10 feet away, we had, inch and a half, inch and a quarter, something like that, and so they, used the same mix they used on the tracks, a real fine mix, and did, I thought, a fine patch job. Our hope is that we don't peel it off with a snowplow.
I understand the matching up to that, but was something missed to begin with on, you know, you made mention, and it seems like, you know, when you get this from the driving public, but what in the heck is going on? You just, you know, spent all this money and every, you know, very good job on the asphalt. Why wasn't that, you know, something could have been done? And I don't know if maybe needs to be done on that north approach.
You get to a point where the fix might be worse than what we have, and that's what we elected on the north side with dealing with a half inch or, the one right tire track on the northbound lane at 3/4. The fix would be probably worse than the bite. And part of it's the art of asphalting. You take something this thick and compress it.
But was there something past the asphalt that should have been redone before they...
What are you asking there?
Well, could you build up the dip in the road?
We milled it out to a square header for them, so there wasn't any blending. You had to match from here to here.
And there's a dip.
And it's much, much improved over what it was before.
That's
The side
my
is-
question, what was the road?
The
I
side
don't
to-
ride that road.
The side to side is gone. That had only been patched since the bridge was installed in like 1997. It had been patched, and it's much improved, and it's like a project that we had in my former life where I evaluated 400 and some manholes on Fifth Avenue South in Fort Dodge, and we elected to, the city, elected to replace and adjust 300 out of the 400. And we left anything with a half inch bounce there. And we took 3-inch adjustments, 2 inches, but we left half or 3/4. Fixed everything, and they had more complaints after we were done than before we were done.
Well, maybe it's, I don't know, but I mean, obviously, it's, you know, it's a concern on the people, especially that use the road.
Yeah.
You know, go over it occasionally, you don't think much of it, but, you know.
The bridge doesn't move, the road moves, and that's the problem on any of these. Bridge approaches are, they span, they have a bridge haunch, and you put concrete, reinforced concrete, and you're spanning from here to here for the two different movements, for the differential movements from freeze-thaw. The bridge doesn't move and the road does, so that bridge approach helps in that case, but you still have to match, at some point, you still have to match that end, and you have a target, a hard target, whether it be concrete or a header or whatever, you have to match, and that's always the things to do with asphalt or concrete is to match and make it smooth. And anything that we had at a half inch, they matched the bridge, there's a little bit of a sag in front of the bridge in the north side. It could have been better, and it could have been a lot worse, and it was previously a lot worse. And again, we elected to try to deal with the south side, and thought we had a good chance of making it better, which they did do a nice job and made it a lot better. I hope it stays there with a hard blade.
Well, I'm guessing when they cut that out there on Highway 3, for that tile that's going underneath there, you're gonna have some type of hump. You're never gonna be able to get it repaired back the way it was.
Because something changes.
Because
It doesn't
something
matter
changed.
where you're putting it back, you have well-drained material, even a boring. If your boring isn't, if you have your flighting advanced too far on a boring where you're pushing, it looks good for a year or two, but if you're too far advanced, you take all the fines and the sands out, makes the pipe push real easy, and it makes the boring a lot easier if you take more material. And then, 3, 5 years, 7 years down the road, you'll feel the bump.
I'd like to think we could
That's
make it
part of the
perfect, but we're gonna
What's that?
The bridge down in Gosh Park, we had the same problem 2 years ago.
Well, you'll continue to have, again, the bridges don't move, the roads do.
Well, I'd like to think we can get it as close as we can.
I'd move we approve the following 3 vouchers for Heartland Asphalt for the construction as Ascon.
P20, P30, and P56.
Correct.
I'll second it.
You got it. Better notice, you
Yeah.
stepped off. Further discussion here, it's interesting on the smooth, or on the incentive, if they had smoothness spec on this, the contractor doesn't even have to meet it within so many feet of a hard object. His
That's what I was
smoothness,
just gonna ask.
his smoothness doesn't even apply in this area that we're even worried about the bridge.
You can't hold that.
Beyond that is where he gets paid the smoothness.
What is smoothness? I mean, are you talking the surface of the finish?
No, the ride, it's more or less the ride. And-
That's so actually like the, so it's not like a
So it's like
walk
a
type thing.
roller coaster.
I mean, they
Right,
measure...
and no, I think, good point, it doesn't, but
That's-
still,
that's
I mean, I
what
just get,
we're paying an incentive for quality, and yet the quality ain't quite.
well, in this particular instance, that approach, and yeah, all of the matching up and everything aside, but if something should have been, you know, engineered into that project differently, may have, there again, i.e. probably been a little more expense, but you thought now would have been the time to address it, because, you know, when you get that, you know, there again, I drive over it, I think, oh, road's really nice,
Something should have been engineered, like what?
could it have been, that dip been taken out of there? I mean, I'm not saying that, you know,
I know.
Okay, we have, this has been the first, and a second, Bruce, Carl made the first.
I second it.
Bruce seconded, had discussion, all in favor, paying vouchers?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Second order of business is approve a limited spray request from an organic producer. He realizes he cannot require us to do whatever, but he's asking at least that we try to work with him, and if we can't, he just leaves part of where we sprayed out of it. But to formalize it, I brought it to the board, in addition to getting it to our shop, to give him heads up if we have problems along those right-of-ways.
Is there a name with that, or is just?
It's,
Yeah, I had that earlier somewhere here.
Josh Banworth,
Oh,
Yeah, Josh.
it's just an email and
All
a
right.
picture that
All
I
right.
have with your, right there in your right hand, and you grabbed from Peggy. Oh, you're stealing her stuff, that's
Yeah,
why.
oh, it's over. I go down one more stack here, I got it. I thought I read it.
Any problem up there?
And if we do, we need to try to get them here. It will, we've had formal requests of this, and they're, over east of Thor, we have a similar deal. We still have the right to maintain and do what we need, and they're asking just that, we do what we can, to recognize that they're organic, and then they can use that outside 20 feet. If not, they have to dedicate a barrier. And
according to Josh's note, they will mow that.
they'll try to do it,
Take
whatever
care
they
of
need
it.
to be. They'll, destroy, mechanically or whatever they need to do within reason. And he said, and if it's too bad, then we'll just pull out 20 feet and leave it unharvested.
So do they leave that, or do they post that, so,
I don't think so, we just post it to the shop, for our, people spraying that
Spraying.
stay away from this and try to, work with them. I mean, if we need to do it, and it's something that has to happen now, we have to do it now. If it's something that we say, hey, there's a problem coming, what can you do, and that's what we'll try to notify them. That's the point of this. That's why it's listed as limited or whatever adjective, yes, limited spray request.
we need that in the motion?
Yeah,
Oh,
we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the limited spray request for Banworth.
I'm taking the motion.
First from Bruce, second from Carl, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we go down to voucher number 2 for Midwest Contracting.
And this voucher number 2 is for the joint project where they're all tied, they're all one project, 3 projects, LC 173304, 181020, and 280660. There's a few that, this represents all the work complete except retainage. There's a few, where we did not use all the subdrain, line 7 up above on the first 11733. We only used 50% of it. We used more tile, ag tile place on 13, 50 foot on each of the 12-inch lines. And then on the bottom, 280660, none to connect. I mean, we had a bid item, thought we were gonna have to play with 70 foot of tile, and had none. These should be final quantities. We have some final paperwork that we're waiting on the contractor, before we, well, then 30 days before we'll pay that retainage out. For instance, we have an agreement with one property owner. We need an agreement between contractor and property owner where they buried some stuff on private property, had nothing to do with us, so that it holds us harmless in the future.
Very good. Bridge stuff.
Concrete
Okay.
mostly.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve voucher number 2, the Midwest Contracting?
So moved.
First from Dave,
Second.
second from Bruce. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
To update for Dave, we had, well, for all of you, questions a couple weeks ago on our trip that he and I took a month ago. One of them is cleaned up, the building is pretty well cleaned up out of the ditch. The fence and debris is still there. I talked to the owner last week, Thursday or Friday, and he'll put it higher on his priority list and get it out of there. We got, another one this morning that someone called us on, and our own maintenance staff looked at and took pictures. Here's a driveway extension. Looks like they have various, landscape material, erosion control mats, brick, didn't extend the pipe, just did it over the weekend, so, we'll look for some feedback from you guys, but our expectations would be to send them a letter to say, stay out of the right-of-way again. Another one.
This over by the home?
Straight west, the high school, on the blacktop.
South side of the road,
What's that?
south side of the road.
North side of the road. And it's a problem for several fold reasons, and I don't know.
Was there a pipe in it before?
Yeah, pipe's clean on the other side of it. Yeah, that's the, yeah, what do you do? I mean, other than that, next week, we're going to, look at ordinances, try to finalize them. I did just for your use, instead of giving it to you next week, on Thursday with the agenda, I'd bring her here right now, and that was, one possible scenario for mailboxes in the bottom, and you can look at it, and that's what we talked about as a possible remedy, or a change, or whatever you wanna call it. And we'll address the rest of that next week, but I have it in writing. Short and sweet is what I tried to keep it. Otherwise, we're in between construction. This weekend was the first weekend in a long time we didn't have any detour.
That's good.
Good.
Well,
Keep Webster County happy over there,
there's a lot of detours south of here. Oh my God.
Yep, it's construction season, and unfortunately, to fix something, you have to shut the road
Well,
down.
I've never seen Interstate 35, there's a couple places it's as narrow as it's ever been. They got truck traffic going
I
on.
think the whole town of Fort Dodge is under construction.
Good. Anyway, that's it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
These are just for my information.
Yeah, that was the mailings.
More?
No, I'm good. That were in the box. We cover copy you on it.
Okay. All right.
That's the contracts there. Very good, thank you.
All right, thanks, Paul. All righty, let's go
We're
down.
moving right along.
Everybody's lunch.
Yeah, that was, I'm gonna be buying lunch every day. Road claims.
Question.
Yes.
What was it, $600 and some, the Humboldt vet clinic? Sheriff's Department? Does that, we have a clarification on that one?
That clinic?
I believe so, if I'm remembering.
Animal control.
Animal control.
That's what they do, is before they go out to, they have to have all their shots, otherwise they do not take them, more than likely. That's, I'm just guessing without looking.
So, does that money get recouped then from, if they find the owner?
If they find the owner pays it, yes.
So, for the animal control person, good Lord, you could buy an animal, except your animals, buy an animal for that, what the heck?
Well, we took our dog this week, when we went down to the Ozarks, and you have to take in papers,
Oh, yeah.
that everything, they're up to
Yeah,
snuff on
they
their
will not take them
shots.
unless they have proof that they've had all their shots.
Yeah.
They being,
Any caretaker.
Any kennel.
okay, anyone.
Any facility that handles dogs, or cats, or monkeys, or snakes, or whatever.
Well, this is several animals.
So there must've been ones that were picked up by our
Animal control.
control. More than,
Well, probably.
The only question we have is were they picked up in the county or the city, and she is supposed to be keeping track of that, so that would...
Should be relatively easy to ascertain
Yeah.
that.
Uh-huh.
So they've got all the vaccinations, and hopefully they went for adoption someplace, and probably how that shakes out.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the bills as a ordered here for $287,881.37. Drainage is $82,0894.
that's the number I had, I'll second.
82,000 what?
$82,000.
No, 8,000.
$287.
8,208.
$208.94.
Okay, thank you.
We'll save that extra 80 grand.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay, we got claims. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Approve change status for Tracy Stitwell from a part-time to a full-time jailer effective August 5th, 2017 at a rate of $16.79. Okay, now we had, did we do two already, and this is the third one?
Yes, because one of those ones that Dean had to approve declined
Okay.
when the offer.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because I thought we'd done this
So
already.
that puts
Was that
us
a
back to
dispatcher?
two?
I get
Back to
confused.
That's what I couldn't remember.
We're at three then. This will get us at three full-time, correct?
I think it's only two, because
think
he
it's
offered
only
it
two.
to, he offered it to one and they declined, so, the first two that he offered, one declined, so this would only get us,
But I'm wondering if those other two were dispatchers. I'm
Well, that's
getting
what I wondered.
dispatchers and jailers mixed up here. So
I
I
guess I
have
would,
to check and...
I'd make the motion to approve her, is it her?
Mhm.
Tracy to,
And Tracy has worked for a while for the jail.
effective August 5th, to that rate of $16.79, and then we'll have Dean give us a update as to if he's
Yeah.
full now, or if he still needs the one, or if those were dispatchers, or get us on the right page.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Authorize chairman to sign a state and local government amendment to Marco Technologies.
The new copier that we got, they keep finding more state and local government things that we have to sign for the copy machine. So this looks like standard language. We just need authorization for Rick to sign it.
Make a motion to sign it.
The first,
Oh, second.
second by Bruce. Any more discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, committee reports. Start on that.
We go back to what? June 19th,
June 26th.
26th, sorry, that was one week.
Signing in the wrong spot here. There.
Here.
I'm signing in the wrong spot.
All right, on the 27th of June, I had, my EDMO meeting in Eagle Grove. Everything's moving forward over there. We had a couple of visits with, Alyssa over there that handles some of the things over here in Humboldt. far as our food pantry and maybe some of the hours that we're running, so we're trying to work on that. On the 29th, I helped with the flags up, and then the following Wednesday, on the 5th, I got in on taking them down, so that was the extent, I think. Today's the 10th, that puts me up to date.
You know who I've talked to, Bruce, but they thank you, you was able to reach up there and do those flags the rest of the day.
I kept the poles, and I'm thinking that's why my arms
Well,
are sore.
thank you, and apologies from whomever, if that screwed up your arm.
No, I'll live. But
Okay.
it's bigger always.
Well,
I think.
The only meeting I had was the 28th of June, and I gave you guys some propaganda about what we did up there. It was the County Social Services.
Where was your drive to? You
It
said
was at
3 hours?
Lansing, Iowa, 3.5 miles up there, hour and a half maybe. Lansing, right on there. I drove across the
Over,
bridge.
almost to the bridge.
I drove across the bridge into Wisconsin when I was there.
Yeah.
But what they did, they've been a big debate on how much communication we have in this 22 county area. And so I gave you what they're proposing, we did not vote on it yet, breaking it into different quads. Instead of meeting monthly in that whole 22 county area, we'll meet locally with those counties that I've outlined. So I think I'm going to talk to Melanie to, what's her name, upstairs?
Kathy.
Kathy.
I think she'll be much happier with this operation, a little local control there.
Yeah.
So would you meet as a group, and then could you do that over the, like we do on our poly calls, so we don't have to do all the driving?
We could, but there's some advantages to looking them in the eyes too. Right now, I could go to Clay County or to Wright County and sit and over the phone, but you miss a lot. I think it's worth the drive. If we'll cut down a lot of driving and we start
Well, if
doing
you go to this here, yeah, like you say, it's not near as much driving, you get to know the people better too, rather than only meeting.
And then the other thing they handed out that meeting, I gave you a copy of it. You know, they always talk about people with disabilities and so forth. They said, people first. It talks about some of the language. We're all guilty of this. And I'll give this to media if you'd like to look at it. Talks about examples of people first and things we talk about people, and there's ways to do it in a positive way rather than a nasty way. They can't help it. That's some of the things they talk about. That was it for me. You got a couple of those if you like them. Guess I don't. Have to share that one.
All right. Okay, on, the 26th, supposed to have a meeting at Midas in Fort Dodge. I called him to ask him what it was about, and he said, I bet it won't last over 5 minutes, so I said, well, count me out, that's half-hour drive. I did have a PA meeting on the 26th. Had a Midas meeting on the 28th. And, looks like they come out in the black this year. I'm kind of surprised at that, but everything went well. The 9th, we put the flags up.
I know, wasn't sneezing till today.
And, the 5th, we took the flags down. That's all I had for the week.
Monday, June 26th, I had a building families meeting via teleconference. Current director, Michelle Walters, is seeking or going to get new employment. They need a new director.
She is?
Yep.
I don't know. She already got it, or?
She's just, yes. She hasn't gone there yet. And I think,
Oh, wow. She'll be
so
good.
we didn't get the details at that, or at the meeting. She didn't divulge the details, but we do have one other meeting, was part of August, right before she leaves, so word's been put out for her replacement. I mean, it's out there, she's trying to make a smooth transition, get a qualified person, all that, but, so otherwise, it's going pretty well as far as their budget and everything. They wanna just keep doing the same thing, but obviously they need a new director, so that's building families. So I'll probably have something more in August on that. Same as everyone else, on the 29th, we put up the flags. We got rid of just about all the candy at the parade.
We did when the band went by.
Oh, did you get rid of, did you throw it out?
There was about
Well, the
40
band
marks
members, they
left.
don't get any candy, 'cause they're marching in.
Oh, well, that was
We
good.
gave the band, they passed it around.
Oh, that was
We
awesome.
had about half of it, or a quarter of a box, and then the band went by.
That was awesome.
I said, to Ross Newton's wife, I said, here, they didn't get any candy, so I handed her the box,
Oh.
and they went to marching.
What a wonderful gesture.
So
And then we don't have any
sugar-
candy left.
They got their sugar content run up a little bit.
That's perfect. Then, of course, took the flags down on Wednesday, and I hope Bruce doesn't have any lingering injury from the flag installation and removal.
You know, doing that, it's amazing to watch people that are going down Main Street that quickly look to the south when they're driving by, like, oh, I should be helping, but I got other things to do, and, you know, we appreciated all the help that we had.
We got it done.
Going up, it went really quick.
Pretty
We had
good.
a
And
great
26
group.
going up and 10 coming down.
But we got them,
Yep.
so.
Alrighty, on the 28th, I was over in Pokey for the Iowa Drainage District's meeting. And then, Thursday, I helped put the flags up, but I wasn't there to take them down on Wednesday. And, that's all I had.
And he did a fine job driving us in the parade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, there was lots of people.
It's amazing where all the people come from.
I was impressed with the attendance at the parade.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
I was amazed at, yeah, very good turnout for it.
They keep thinking that our population's going down around here, but they're coming from somewhere.
In fact, they have it at night, many other communities have it during the day, and they all come here at night then.
Seems like it.
I bet we had 10,000 people.
Oh, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just for
Okay.
information purposes, daycare's got their groundbreaking probably tomorrow night.
What time?
Let's see, it's, 5 to 8, right over here.
And I'd also like to bring this up, Carl, you invited next Tuesday for the Rotary.
You bet.
Michelle's gonna come up and do a presentation from the CFR.
Yes.
If you had the opportunity and wanted to come and listen to it, she does a really good job with from what I'm hearing. I haven't witnessed her, presentation, but she will be able to put that, information in all of your heads to, hopefully soon, we're gonna go with the public part of it, but we're still trying to do the groups and the businesses that, you know, have a big stake with large employers that, will use the drug and alcohol and the detox and all of the programs that it does. And so if anybody had a group that you'd wanna have her listen or speak, she'll do it, all we gotta do is set it up.
I offered to buy Bruce's lunch. If any of the rest of you guys wanna come next Tuesday noon at the family table, I'll buy your lunch. You can listen to it. We got room for more people there. 12 o'clock, family table.
Miller's Landing?
Miller's Landing, that's it.
And say,
Change the name.
send me over to Pocahontas, then I'm not gonna get my lunch.
Miller's Landing.
You have anything else for us, Peggy?
Mobile food pantry's coming in Wednesday, right?
That is the
I'd like to make
the
one
12th.
quick, on that, we can discuss this later, obviously, because it's for, but, you know, we had a quick thing about, and granted, it's an organic producer, and they're mowing, and they don't want spraying, and that's understandable, no problem. We need to discuss our overall weed control. I mean, all in all, I mean, as far as, you know, we just bought a new mower, they do mow the shoulders, and they keep up, all in all, pretty well. But I see no reason, when they're mowing along, and there's a patch of whatever, noxious weed, name your noxious weed, and it's a mowable ditch, it's not, you know, a ravine type deal, pull in there and mow those off, be done with it, you know, and I've done that by now.
Yeah.
Our weed control is substandard in the
I
county.
think, I'm kinda worried about the way that, whatever,
Parsnip?
wild parsnip.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch that going down the road and
It's everywhere.
it just
It's
continues to expand.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what, you know, I don't see the state spraying it a lot, so.
No. I mean, I
Are they
just think,
leaving it?
and
It
that's,
just seems like the patches continue to get
that
bigger
happens to
where
be
it's
the,
at.
that happens to be the latest noxious weed that's
Yeah.
getting away. We've always had thistles forever,
Yeah.
always will, but, there's no particular reason, I'm afraid our weed control is a little bit lax, And I say, some of it is, you know, they're mowing the shoulders anyway. There's that parsnip, thistle, giant ragweed, name your noxious
Yeah.
weed. Go in there and mow it off, but do it before it gets a chance to propagate and spread. Same on the spraying. We've had a minimal discussion, I think that needs to be brought up more. You know, very judiciously, don't wanna kill crops, don't need lawsuits because they sprayed
Don't wanna kill all the brome grass.
No, don't wanna do stuff that's wrong, but, you know, you pick and choose, and I think we can get this weed control under control a little bit better.
Farmers that help, they're they're out spraying anyway, so.
Yeah, so, you know, just kinda take a look at that.
Because I know that yellow parsnips is getting
Well,
everywhere.
and they all...
The thing is, what can you do about it?
I don't know.
Well, there again, I think I equate it to any noxious weed, you know, keep an eye on it, and where applicable, A, get it sprayed sooner, B, get it mowed sooner, you know.
Well, the part of that stuff touching you and blistering your skin
Yeah,
is
you don't-
almost scary.
Yeah, any of that stuff. Well, just as an example, I mean, you can go pick your spot in the county.
Yeah.
Speaking of stuff that'll blister your skin, right in the way to Livermore, and it's still before the city limits, or right at. And, because the county, you know, they go by and they mow the shoulder, and it keeps it, you know, they do a fine job, there's nothing against that. There's a ditch, I can show you, you do not want to go in that ditch, period. It has, and it's not the wild parsnip, it's some other very noxious itchweed, I don't know the scientific name of it, but, poison sumac or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't want to get involved in it, and at some point, they'll probably eventually go in and mow that. But why don't they eventually go in and mow that earlier than later? The thistle spots that we see, you know, I don't want to risk any employee's life going down a steep embankment and, you know, that maybe it's more applicable to spraying, but there's a lot of areas, and it's not undue. You know, back in the day, they used to mow the secondary gravel road ditches with sickle mowers. You know, we have high-tech, you know, supposedly mowers, you know, that needs to be addressed. We need to do a better job of weed control where applicable.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
I need a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
First, second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 11:20.